Good evening and welcome to a quite late Mancunian way Thursday night chat. Do apologise for the delay. I was having some massive technical issues that have only just got resolved. So I appreciate everyone's patience who has stayed around. Brilliant comments as always from the chat. I will struggle to keep up with the chat if I'm all being brutally honest. But I will try where I can. Yeah, so tonight obviously I've got joined with me Rich and Ed. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Good.
Yeah, man, big up the chat, big up the panel. Got a lot to talk about.
We have indeed, Ed. We have indeed. Now, obviously, the change in thumbnail came earlier today, as obviously things happened last night that I'm sure we're going to get into. I know we have got into. I know Ed, you got into it, didn't you, on the Stateside Blues with Pat and a few others. But obviously, me and Rich have not had our says yet. So that's the beginning of the Thursday night chat. Then we'll be getting into Foden, which has been a lot of talk, and then we'll talk about contracts, with certain contracts coming to an end, the likes of Rodri, Foden and a few others. So we thought we'd be quite privileged to talk about that tonight. We'll try and get onto a bit of Newcastle, but we are all struggling with time tonight, so we will do our best to fit in where we can. But let's start with obviously the game last night, Rich, which obviously I think, you know, I did a quick reaction with Tone on the Instagram channel, and you know, I'm going to admit some of my thoughts were quite reactionary at that time. You know, after the game, you don't see everything, you forget a few things, and you're kind of emotional. And I tried to stay level-headed as where I can, but there are some things I said last night which now in the light of day, now really kind of watching some of the highlights, seeing some of the comments that have been made throughout the day with, you know, various other YouTube channels and with, you know, just the media, sports media in general. So I'd like to kind of pick up on a few of those things tonight. But Rich, what was your overall thought?
I thought it was, I thought we edged the game, but I'm not complaining at draw being a fair result. I thought Nottingham Forest came with a plan, a bit like they did when we played them back in December, and and I think the game in December wasn't that dissimilar, in that we probably slightly edged the game that time we got the result. This time it was a draw. I thought they came with a good plan. I thought they executed it pretty well. They scored 2 very good goals. It's not often you get back heel nutmegged for a goal. And I thought the other goal was very well taken. But I think if I was to criticise City, I do think we look a little bit tired. And maybe that is the fact that we had no summer off last summer when we played in the World Cup. But I think we look a bit tired at the moment, and we shouldn't really be looking tired yet, because we kind of have had a bit of a couple of weeks without 2 games recently, and we're probably only at the start of the season. But tiredness in part isn't an excuse, because we did have a bench of 9 very strong first team players. So in some senses, when Rodri looks a bit tired, which not the World Championship for him, but the injury, and the fact that Pep from Nico playing every game now doesn't cost him barely to come on for 10 minutes, and that's when Rodri's looking tired. That's a little bit of a concern, and we didn't seem to me. I don't know. I just felt we probably needed, like we were about a month ago. We were making 3 or 4 subs and making them quite early, being quite decisive. We didn't. So I think it was a fair outcome. I mean, I know a lot of people agree with me, but I'm not up in arms about the referee. I thought I really didn't. I think the only one of those 3 penalties that Blues think are, some Blues think are stonewall penalties, the only one was the second one when he was holding Haaland, but he did let go. And then Haaland did such a dramatic dive, it would have put me off as a ref giving it anyway. But I thought the one where Haaland's through, he kicked the ball off the pitch and the goalkeeper tried to pull out. So for me, that wasn't a pen. The one where Elliot Anderson and Rodri kicked each other, they show photos of it, but it's after the ball's gone 2 meters away. It's just 2 people kicking each other. So, it's not great, but it's certainly not me writing off the season either, because we were never going to win 12 games. Arsenal are never going to win 9 games on the trot, and there's shocks, turns, and mysteries, and everything else still to come. The reality is, we have to beat Arsenal at home, and we did last week, and that's where we are.
Okay, Rich, and just your mic does sound like, I think he's going to try to sort it. Ed, what was your initial reaction then?
For me, I thought we actually played fairly well in the game. I just think those 2 moments we just lacked concentration at times during that play. Like, I'm looking at the first goal, and I understand it's happening in transition, but for Gibbs White to slide in between our 2 center halves, I think shouldn't be happening. Because we're going to be pinning them back, so of course they're going to have times in transition, but that's when we need to be focused and clear our lines. And I just think for 2 occasions, a midfielder passes the ball, runs off of it, gets it back fairly comfortably into a shot where he has time to square it up and bend it, past Scahy. So I just think that, I thought we played fairly well. I thought we had 21 chances in the game. I thought I think we said it's a lot this season that We just haven't taken our chances. And I can think about 7, 8 clear cut chances. Semenyo right in front of the goalie. Clear chance. Nobody gets on the end of it. I'm thinking about Bernardo. I'm thinking about Cherokee. Even at the end there, we had some clear chances, and just didn't finish it off. I'm not going to speak on the referee decisions because referees have been horrendous this whole season. But I thought we played fairly well, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Ed, I agree with you. I mean, I said in my initial kind of post-match with Tone last night, I said I actually didn't think we played that badly. In fact, I thought we played quite well. There was times this season where we've talked very much about like kind of basketball, football, where it's just been really out of control, where City have not had control of the ball and we've lost games because we haven't kept the control. And there was a lot of, I don't know, I've seen it, and a lot of people have said it, kind of very much like sideways passing, but I think we talked about we need to have control in games. And this is one of those games where City, at one point were 2-1 up, and it felt like, well, we need to stay in control. We know, like, sometimes that we don't always, we've struggled to see out games, only a couple of months ago. You think of the Spurs and the Chelsea game and stuff like that. So, but it didn't feel like that to me. I've heard a lot of Blues who were there last night say, at half time they felt that, we were in control, that we, they didn't have any concerns or worries. They felt that we should have got that second goal before the end of the first half, that with Semenyo putting that chance across the box. So, it felt inevitable that we were going to get that second goal and possibly more, because I think, we really, Nottingham Forest had very little chances and we really, suffocated their chances. They only had a few chances on goal in that first half. So I think we did really quite well to marshal them, and I think as Rich stated earlier, yes, Nottingham Forest are where they are currently in the league, but we know the quality they've got. They've got 2 players that we've had our eye on since last summer and probably longer. One being Elliot Anderson, which everyone knows about, but also Morgan Gibbs-White. We were linked with him, all last summer. And he was linked with Spurs, and a few other clubs were looking at him. They have got some top, and those are just 2 of their top talent. You think about, is it
Murillo?
Murillo. He's been talked about, as being one of the top centre backs in the league right now. Dom's the midfielder.
What, Sangari? Or are you talking about Dominguez?
Well, Sangari, yes, but Dominguez actually I was thinking of. I think he was also really good last night, and he's been really good since last season from what I've seen. So, they've got some really good players, and I think we forget sometimes that we don't give enough respect to the opposition. Yes, they are currently winning the league, but seriously, they've got players that can damage you, and that's what they did. That Morgan Gibbs-White goal was absolutely class. And he's done a few of these goals throughout the season. Elliot Anderson, that's a brilliant shot. Very much kind of reminds me of something Rodri would do. Do you know what I mean? And has done. So as much as we can turn around and go, we felt that we could win that last night. None of us is a surprise, because we were all saying it before this game. We've been saying it for the last few weeks that City could drop points, but so could Arsenal. Arsenal have already dropped points in this.
Oh my gosh, they were horrendous against Brighton, mate. Oh my.
They were horrendous, but I mean, they got the job done though, Ed, didn't they? But they didn't get the job done against Wolves, which is a game they walked into feeling they're going up against a team that are more likely relegated, and they should be walking it, and they didn't. And they were far worse in that game against Wolves than we were against Nottingham Forest last night. So that's what still gives me the hope that we're still in this fight, that we can still win the league. Yes, it's going to mean that Arsenal may have to drop some points, but in all honesty, from that game they played against Brighton last night, are you telling me that the teams they're going up against in the next 10 weeks, they can't drop points still. Is anyone really going to make that claim? Because I think as high as some of the Arsenal fans are right now, I think they will look at some of the fixtures and go, there's a potential banana skin there for us. And let's not forget, they've got to come to the Etihad. And we've still got a game in hand. So for me, this league is still very much up for grabs.
Yeah, we beat Arsenal.
You might get Rich.
It's 1 point, isn't it? We beat Arsenal and we beat Palace, and Palace will be a nothing game for them. It's like, I think that's our game in hand. Then it's 1 point. So basically, Arsenal, if we keep winning, Arsenal draw a game. If we draw a game, then Arsenal have to draw a couple of games. I mean, it's all there, but Arsenal come to the Etihad and win. They win the league. Draw, it's very hard for us to win the league. So now, it's putting the pressure on that game, and I'm not sure whether, in some ways, if we have to win, maybe that's good. Maybe that's a good thing for the way we set up, for the way we play, for the way we do tactics, but maybe that helps Arsenal. I'm really not sure. Sometimes I hate a game where a draw is the result you want, because it can lead you to playing a bit more negatively and losing to a sucker punch and maybe having to win. But then Arsenal are a team that's probably designed to defend, to just go for the free corners and stuff. I mean, I think it's interesting that the media really hasn't made that much of the way Arsenal are playing. I think Slot's really the first person to come out and absolutely lambast Arsenal. He did it through the code of the Premier League, but basically saying that football is going back to, the 90s and its quality, which is interesting because, Goldbridge would be telling us that the 90s football was miles better than it's ever been. But we are going through an era where, putting 20 people in the area for a corner, getting 5 people around the goalkeeper, trying to win free kicks, throw-ins, corners is a victory. And it's I don't know if it's because of the American owners, they're trying to change football into American football, and we'll start having 30-second ad breaks every time there's a corner or a free kick or a throw-in, and it becomes a game of set pieces. But I'm hoping that doesn't take off, but I'm hoping that we really figure out over the next couple of weeks how we're going to break down an Arsenal side set up to play that way when they come to us, because that ultimately is going to decide the season. And let's not forget when the pressure's really on, the psychological impact of one result can have massive repercussions. Look at when we won the league in 2012. We were dead. We were 8 points down, 6 to go. And United had, one bad result, and that was followed immediately by another one up. Was it they'd beaten by Everton and then, couldn't beat Wigan, I think it was, and suddenly dropped 5 points from absolutely nowhere, which then meant suddenly we go into the last 3 games and we're only 3 behind and we're playing them. So we beat them, we go top. So, if Arsenal
and Rich, what happened in 2014?
Do
you remember?
Slippy G. He tripped over. Yeah, exactly.
But Liverpool were 7 points clear, and that was in April. We were 7 points behind them at that point in April. Do you know what I mean? And we're still in March, and we've only just got into March.
Yeah, we were 8 behind United in April. I mean, that was early April, and so Liverpool had that with Palace, where they just absolutely threw that game away and losing at home to Chelsea. So these things can happen. I mean, equally, it can happen the other way too. We could easily lose at Chelsea. Someone like, another team we're playing who's desperate to stay up or to get into the playoff spots could have a good game. And, someone was saying how a lot of the teams who, we're playing haven't got stuff to play for. But, some of them have, like Brentford are on the cusp of the Champions League. You know, believe it or not, Everton are on the cusp of finishing above Liverpool. So there's a lot of teams who've got to play who have something going for them. Maybe they won't when we play them because, you know, especially if it's right at the end of the season, things may have changed. But, you know, it's just that we've just got our heads down and battle. And, you know, we've got, you know, and same for Arsenal. So it's not an excuse for us versus Arsenal, but we've got all these important league games. But we've also got Real Madrid to come to us. We've got a cup final. We've got an FA, you know, on Saturday night. We've got, you know, the biggest of the FA Cup ties. So there's a lot of big games to come.
And let's not forget, like when we kicked off the season, there was a lot of people felt that we were going to be lucky if we got second. It was more likely we were going to be aiming for third or fourth because we were going for a rebuild. We're going through transition. Liverpool have spent all this money and are most likely going to win the league. Arsenal won't be far behind them because, again, they've bought this brilliant striker and he's the last piece of the jigsaw puzzle. You know, and Chelsea have just won the Club World Cup, so of course they're going to, you know, steamroll everyone in front of them. So, you know, for me, I think we're ahead of schedule, as in we're challenging for the league and we're doing pretty well at it. Do you know what I mean? So, in all honesty, I think the some people have kind of gone down to a bit of a meltdown from last night, thinking, well, the league's over, you know. But from where we started to where we are, I'm very proud of this team. I'm very proud of this manager. I'm very impressed with this club for what we've done. You know, we went out in January and we spent, and the reason we spent was, yes, we had two centre backs that were going to be out for, well, one for nearly 6 months and another out for a month and a half or two. You know, so we needed potentially to go out and spend. But we also bought an attacking option of Semenyo, who was probably the best attacking option in the league. You know, and we went out and got him. You know, so two quality signings. So it tells me that City, even if we don't win the league this season, there are still other competitions that we are going to be in and we could win. And it's just preparing us for next season. So, you know, I have full faith that we can go on and are winning something this season and definitely really, really challenge for the league next season if we don't win it this season. So I am going to come on to some of the decisions last night because obviously there's been a lot of comments in the chat about some of the refereeing decisions, and I said last night that and we'll talk about each of them, but we'll talk about the big one, which was probably the one where I said to begin with, where, you know, Haaland is fouled by the not goalkeeper, and at first I thought, you know, that's probably not a penalty. And that was my initial reaction after the game. But then I've seen a lot about it today and I've re-watched it a few times and I thought, actually, Haaland takes the ball away from the goalkeeper and the goalkeeper takes him completely out. And now only a few weeks back, we were talking about, you know, when Alisson completely wiped out Haaland and he got the penalty. So I know I'm going to guess what you're going to say, Rich, but at the same time, like after re-reviewing it quite a few times, I just think actually he doesn't get the ball. He completely wipes Haaland out. If he doesn't make that challenge and Haaland is able to go around the goalkeeper, we know Haaland can score from that tight angle.
If Haaland was driving a Ferrari, he would have caught out that ball. Haaland was not getting that ball in a million years. That ball was off. Haaland, it was a bad touch.
Well, I mean, we can debate that, Rich. We obviously can.
I think that's a scientific fact. Haaland could not get that ball. It was a bad touch. It was going out.
Well, again, Rich, we've seen him score those type of goals before. So, I mean, for me...
No, with respect, I've never seen him run at 100 miles an hour and get a ball that is going out.
All right, Rich. So why did Alisson get the goal?
I thought Alisson was very good. Alisson, you know, the Forest goalkeeper tried to pull out And I thought, Haaland did slightly move towards him. I thought so. I thought that one was, and it was a gentle touch. Alisson ran out and just absolutely took him out with his full body, with absolutely no. I think they were quite different. It was almost like Alisson's got no awareness as a player there, and he's just gone and almost done like a rugby league kind of tackle at the legs, kind of just wipe out the player. Whereas I think the Forest goalkeeper was very aware, was going out for the ball and actually pulled. Whereas Alisson went whack, the Forest goalkeeper kind of went almost pulling out. The ball, I think the.
So I see you saying pulling out because he went straight, wiped him out. I mean, his face connected with Haaland's leg, so I don't know where you're getting him pulled out.
You don't do if you're trying to. If the fact that his face connected with his leg is him trying to pull out, because you would never go in face first on someone's legs if you were trying to take him out. Whereas Alisson just goes out like a rugby league player, just like whack, like absolutely. Chucked him 4 foot in the air.
The problem is, though, Rich, I mean, you're saying that Haaland may not have been able to maybe score that goal, but he could have maybe still kept it in and then passed it off to somebody else coming in from behind.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Nunes would have got the ball either in the first one. I just think that in the Liverpool one, I just think so. I just think one was an attempt to get the ball. And one of them wasn't. That one by Alisson was just.
It may have been an attempt, Rich, but he didn't get anywhere close to the ball. So, I mean, listen.
Yeah.
It's objectives. We can disagree, and that's what we're here to do. Is analyse what happened last night, and we both disagree. I felt now re-looking at it, I think it was a penalty. In all honesty.
But honestly, that's everything that's wrong with the game. I want quick decisions.
I think there are a lot more worse things in the game. But go on.
No, the fact you thought, and you had to watch it 20 times after the game, hours later, to think it's a penalty, says to me it shouldn't be. Because we want quick decisions. We don't want VAR, running over things 25 times, and that's what we're all complaining about. I think
the problem, though, Rich, is that the other thing you talk about VAR is that, though. Usually, those type of VAR kind of, when they look at it for a good 10, 15 seconds at the very least. Last night, barely they must have looked at it because the decision was like that. It was done within seconds. So I don't think it was particularly well reviewed.
Yeah, I don't think they do look at those in play. When play continues on, they don't tend to look at them. They look at anything that the play's dead. Very, very
They'll
quickly,
stop the game afterwards, even after the game's continued. They'll review it while the game's going on.
Yeah, and they'll look for 10, 15 seconds, but the ones that take 5 minutes are the ones. I don't know. To me, you can make an argument that it's a penalty. I honestly think the keeper made an attempt to pull out. I think the ball was going out. I'd be annoyed if that was given against us. I can see. You can make a technical argument under the rules, but if we're really going to go down that path, then we are going to have 2 3-hour football games, because if we're going to referee and spend 1-2 minutes going through decisions like that and not trust the referees, then we're effectively saying we are going to become like American football. We are going to have a stop-start game, and we've got to accept, if we want football, we've got to accept. We complain about VAR all the time. We aren't Red Scouts. We can't get into a place where we are behaving differently when things go against us as when they go for us. And we can't say we want a game that flows, that's good for the fans, that doesn't have VAR, and then complain when a marginal decision goes against us, because even if you're right and I'm wrong, it was a marginal decision. We've just got to accept.
I think the problem, though, Rich, is that I'm not just advocating that this is all on City. I mean, it's felt, especially over the last month and a bit, that a lot of decisions have gone against City. Some of the big calls where, we should have been given a penalty and didn't. Some of the challenges in the box have been quite bad. I think about and we'll come on to the Rodri one in a minute, but, you think about the one at Newcastle against Foden. it does feel that those decisions have gone against her, but it has gone against a lot of other teams. You know, it's not just us; it is a lot of other teams.
Yeah, we know we were. There's a marginal decision. We got for once, because normally they go against us. We got 2 or 3 marginal decisions against Liverpool that helped us. I think, I think that the Van Dijk goal was 50-50. I think that the Gay pulling down Salah, that was 50-50. I think I think Foden arguably could have got sent off versus Newcastle. So I think we've had decisions go our way as well. I think, the Foden decision at Newcastle was awful. That was as blatant a penalty as you'll ever see. And so we have had some really bad decisions against us. But, I
think that's the problem, though, Rich, is last night, it wasn't just one bad call. It was a number of bad calls. Because let's get onto it, because we need to get onto it, is the Rodri. Now, I've seen on
clear
today,
pin.
Yeah, I saw it today, and I don't know if you've seen it, Rich, because you've only been up for a short period of time, but it was reviewed by Sky Sports here in the UK, and they had the ref watch. Now, Dermot Gallagher, he was reviewing it, and his comments today have been called out for being really quite bad. Is that he had come out and said that basically that wasn't a penalty, and actually it was Rodri who fouled Elliot Anderson, not Elliot Anderson fouling Rodri. Now, to me, and I think a lot of other people, like I said, have made comments about this today, that's crazy. How on earth an experienced referee who hasn't obviously refereed the game in quite a long time now, but can turn around and say that kind of ridiculous statement?
Yeah, no,
it just is beyond like ridiculous. I just do not know how you can make that kind of call.
Yeah, I've got to drop 5, but I thought, I wouldn't have given a pen, but it's ridiculous. To me, 2 players kick each other, it both kicking in some way. Obviously, the difference is that Rodri's kicking after hitting the ball, whereas Elliot Anderson's kicking to try and block the ball. But the one I thought was, if there was a penalty, it was the middle one. Anyway, I'll be back in 5.
All right, mate. We'll see you in 5. Ed, what are your thoughts, mate? Because obviously, for me, that one, those comments from Dermot Gallagher were just absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, that was. I thought for me, the Rodri one was a pin. That when I saw it, I thought it was a pin. The Holland one was. Sometimes those are given, sometimes those are not. Right? I think we've seen that work that way. But for the Rodri one, Rodri is kicking the ball. The ball's being kicked, and he kicks through him. That's what I saw when I saw that one. But that doesn't take away from the chances that we miss. But we've had, like I said before, we've had horrendous referees this year. It's been like that all season for numerous teams as well. But when you say you're the best league in the world, you think you have the best referees in the world. But clearly we don't.
No. No one's dismissing that they have an extremely difficult job, because to be a ref, I wouldn't want to do that job. I don't think you'd want to do that job, because I think, to actually go out there and not only have to deal with the players, but to deal with the crowd, and then to have to deal with your decisions on the day being picked apart, the next day and maybe for that week, it's hard. But I think some of the referees, rather than trying to make the calls like they used to, is they have been relying on VAR way too much. Do you know what I mean? To make decisions for them. And I do think sometimes, we like to think that there are referees that are biased, that are looking for, to because you do feel sometimes some of these referees. I mean, like we only look back to that referee who refereed. I can't remember the game now. You might remind me, but it was that new referee who managed one of our games and then made the call after looking at VAR.
Yeah. First time ever.
First time ever, and it was just like, hang on a minute. It's your first refereeing game, and all of a sudden you're making a completely different call to what every other referee has done this season.
Yeah.
That moment seemed about that ref making that call. Like, I'm going to make this call because I want to be in the spotlight. I want it to be about me.
Exactly.
Now, that may not be what he was doing, but it definitely felt like it. And I just feel if the consistency is one of the biggest things that's been talked about in this league this season. And I think, probably the last couple of seasons especially as well, but it just feels that the consistency is that one decision, one game, and then the next game, the next week, you're getting two different completely decisions, even though they are pretty much the same sort of foul or whatever that happens in the game. You're just going, where's the consistency? Where is the logic to any of this? And I just think you need to have, if the referee on the pitch is unable to make that decision at the time, then you need to have the reliance on your colleagues in the VAR kind of looking at this and being able to make sensible and objective views, and within a quick time frame. I mean, I'm sorry, but as you just said, if we're supposed to have the best league in the world, then why are we not sorting this out? Now, I appreciate VAR's new, relatively speaking, compared to the game itself, but why does it seem to be getting worse and not better? Why is it that they don't seem to be learning from these mistakes? We're getting mistake upon mistake upon mistake, and then, they just keep changing the rules or making small little fixes, which they're not fixing because then it just makes it worse. I don't understand how the Premier League as itself hasn't got hold of these referees and sat them down and gone, listen, sort this out. It's making us look like a joke. Now, I appreciate there are fans throughout Europe and maybe the world, but let's just concentrate on Europe, who will say they get exactly the same things that happen in their leagues. Because we know it, because when we play, especially in the Champions League, stuff like that, we hear other fans turn around and say, some of the referees are just as bad.
Yeah.
So it's not just the Premier League referees, it is other referees around Europe, but because we're supposed to have the best league in the world, everyone's going to concentrate on what's going on with the Premier League.
Yeah.
So it needs to be looked at properly. It really does. But as you said, the mistakes are that we didn't put away, enough goals. We didn't take enough chances when we had them. And I think, we came up against a team that, we thought we could steamroll over some of us, and actually, really and truly, this is a team that are fighting relegation battle. I mean, we're talking, we haven't talked about it, but everyone in the comments has talked about the game that's on tonight, where Spurs are looking dangerously like they're going to tip into the relegation. And that is just shocker. But you think about the teams around them, the likes of Nottingham Forest, who have got to get points right now. They've only got 10 games left. We've got West Ham in a few weeks. If people think West Ham aren't going to give us a game in a few weeks, they're just going to roll over for us, think again. Do you know what I mean? They're going to absolutely bring the game to us.
Exactly.
So forget Chelsea. I'm being brutalised here. West Ham could cause us big problems.
I mean, we know this is what I meant by concentration, right? In certain moments, you have to stay locked in, you have to stay ready, and you have to be willing to run even when you're tired, right? So we've had the ball most of the time, right? And we've had to deal with just 2 or 3 moments where they get transition breaks because they will happen against a high line at times. You're going to have transition, and you just have to deal with. And I just thought those moments, our players could have gone that extra 10%, and maybe we wouldn't have gotten hurt. But same can be said about the other side. If we take our chances, is the game even that close in that moment? Does Forrest maybe not put up a fight if we take our chances?
Yeah.
So you never know.
I mean, the one of the things we've talked about as well is that this season it feels like things have changed. We've talked about the Premier League seems to have changed and adapted to this new kind of, where it's more physical, especially in the midfield. And that's one of the areas we thought, well, we need the extra kind of muscle. And, I think that's one of the reasons we brought in Semenyo is that he's definitely a player that has got quite a bit about him. He's not a player like a Doku or Savinho that are going to be pushed off the ball as easily. So, but let's go on to some of the individual players then last night, because I think it's going to lead into our Foden chat. So let's talk about a few of the individual players. Obviously, we'll talk about who started last night. So it's obviously Donnarumma at net, Nunes, Diaz, Guehi, and Ait-Nouri at the back. Rodri, Foden, Bernardo Silva, and Cherki in midfield, and obviously, you had Haaland and Semenyo. Obviously, Nico O'Reilly wasn't fit enough for this game.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that lineup? Were you happy with it, Ed? Did you have any concerns?
We knew there's going to be some rotation with Haaland coming back in the lineup, right? I think a lot of us were thinking this out of the last few games, would he drop Marmoush? Would he try to keep Cherki in just because we know Forest is going to be like a lowish block? So I kind of saw that coming. I mean, the big question mark, what you said was O'Reilly being out, right? Who would he want to put in there to keep the legs around Rodri, to maybe be deeper and receive the ball and build up play and all that stuff, right? And he decided on Phil Foden. I know some people are saying to Johnny, but I think against a low block, we've all seen Reiners really doesn't do well against low blocks. He does more in open spaces where he can run in behind and get on transition. So I kind of understood why he went with Foden, in my opinion. I was okay with that decision. I mean, I think we've all wanted to see Foden back in this team anyway for certain games in the past. So I was happy with the lineup.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like a pretty decent lineup to me. I think from one of the things we've been talking about is Rodri getting back into top form. And I think last night he really, for the first time, I barely saw very much wrong with Rodri last night. I think the odd pass may have gone here or there, but really and truly, he seemed like back to his commanding self. Do you know what I mean? He really, apart from just a goal, but I just thought his presence in the midfield, it just worked so well with the likes of Bernardo Silva and Cherki and Foden. So I felt it felt good to have him back. You can see him now going back to full fitness. We'll just talk about going through the lineup, Rich. I don't know how much you've been able to listen.
Rich, let me ask Rich a question on I know we were just talking about O'Reilly being out. Would you wanted to see somebody else other than Foden in that position, like a Nico Gonzalez, like a Tijani Reinders? What are your thoughts about the lineup?
I mean, I don't think Tijani brings what Nico O'Reilly lacks. Nico G does obviously bring that, but the problem with that is, we haven't seen it, and my worry now is the window's almost gone for us to try Nico G and Rodri together, because I would have liked to seen that tested. I've said a number of times it's midfield I'd be interested in seeing for really big games, but you don't try that in really big games. You got to see if it works. I mean, I'm a little bit mystified by Nico G, because I thought he was, prior to Christmas, one of our best players. I thought he played really well. Now, Pep obviously does not think Nico G and Rodri can play together, because he hasn't even really flirted at it, probably a little bit of time in. And, I think they have played together a bit off the bench. But that does mystify me a bit, because I do think Rodri is getting back, but he does look like he might need the game off, and I'm surprised we haven't switched Nico G back in. I know he was injured for a bit, but yeah, that surprises me because I thought he had played really well. I mean, there was a lot of talk, you know, when Rodri's coming back, should we actually even bring Rodri back in because Nico G's, you know, doing really well, you know, or are we bringing Rodri back too soon? So that to me is a bit of a mystery. I'm not really sure what, you know, I think Foden coming in took away a bit of midfield physicality against quite a physical midfield, but I don't think Reinders would have made any difference. That if anything, Reinders is less physical than Foden. Nico G obviously would have that physicality, but you know, perhaps him and Rodri's a bit static, lacking a bit of energy, a bit of pace. You know, and we haven't really given anyone else a chance to play there. I mean, you know, a player who's got the physicality and the energy and everything to be an 8 is possibly a player like Nunes, but he's been written off as a midfielder as not having the intelligence for it. So, I mean, I'd have probably picked Foden, but not because, I mean, I love Nick O'Reilly in there. I love the physicality, the energy, the strength, everything he brings, but we don't have another player who brings that.
Yeah, I have to agree with Rich on that. That is something that seems to be when O'Reilly's now at the team, it does seem to be what we're lacking. You know, you think about Foden, Silva, and Cherkis, that they're all pretty good technical players, but they're all pretty small compared to the likes of O'Reilly, Rodri, and Nico G. And I think, I think you're right, Rich. I think we have been asking, you know, if we were going to see Nico G and Rodri play together, and it hasn't happened. Like, apart from, like you said, I think when Nico's come off the bench or whatever. But I think we would have liked to have seen it. It doesn't feel like we're going to see it. So the thing is, for me, is that how does Pep deal with this going forward? Because, you know, I don't know how long O'Reilly's going to be out. I don't think it's going to be particularly long, but we've got a lot of games left. You know, Pep has to look at that midfield and make a decision there. But I thought, you know, I didn't think Cherky was at his scintillating best, as we know he can be, but he still, I mean, he picked out that brilliant assist for Semenyo. And I think, you know, he was dangerous while he was on the pitch at times. He just seemed to be able to find the spaces. I was also very impressed with Aït-Nouri. I think since he's come back into the team, since the AFCON, he's got better and better and better. And sometimes, you know, he was reminding me of Mahrez, you know, with just being able to kind of control the ball and how he was able to go around players who just, he was absolutely sublime. You were starting to see some of the reasons why we got him in the summer. Do you know what I mean? So I think if he continues the way he continues, you know, he's only just 24, 25. You know, he's still so young, and I think he's got so much to give. And I know there's been the concerns about his defensive, you know, but I actually thought he was pretty good last night. You know, he seems to be getting a lot better.
Talking about Turkey or talking about
Aït-Nouri?
Oh, no, yeah, he's 20, 25, 25.
Yeah, so I think, you know, there is so much to look at this team and going forward and go. We've got some absolute brilliant talent.
Yeah, I agree, and especially as, you know, I think, you know, we've got a couple of young players. Certainly one who'll come back and is doing brilliantly this season to add to the squad. And you know, I think Guardiola was probably our best player last season, and you know, up there this. So you know, you could argue we've been missing, you know, one of our 2 or 3 best players in Guardiola, you know, along with Rodri and Haaland. So you know, I think there's a lot to come. I do think, you know, I know not everyone agrees. I saw a few comments in the chat disagreeing. I do think we look a bit tired. And I do think we need to worry about that because, you know, we all talked about what would the impact be now for not having any. Our players had no rest in the summer. They got a week or two after the World Club Championships. They got a week or two before the World Club Championships, but we had no proper pre-season. We had no proper off-season. You know, apart Chelsea in the same boat, but you know, Chelsea have a very, very young, much more dispersed squad than we did. And by dispersed, I mean they're a bit less anchored in an 11, and they do have a pretty young team, but I think they're probably suffering from that. So I do think that we need to be careful that we may look leggy in the next month or two, and I hope that Pep really uses the squad, because there are players there who, because of injuries, because of time off, because of not playing as much this season, should be a lot fresher than others. So I think we just need to, you know, we're going to need to be really careful, even though they're our best players, not to overuse, you know, players like Bernardo, probably a few of the others, not, you know, like Nori had a long time out with injury, so his body would have had a lot of rest. You know, some of the others who had time out with injury would have had some rest, but we just need to be careful not to bury Haaland, bury Bernardo, and a few others who really, you know, haven't had the setup for this season they need. And unfortunately, there's going to be a few of those players who it's going to be the same again this summer with the World Cup. So you're really looking at some of those players. I'm a bit nervous that they're effectively going to be going next season into the third season without a summer break, and that's not good. You know, that for their long term, you know, doing really well, that isn't a particularly good thing.
No, but I mean, as you said though, Rich, like a lot of the teams have got exactly the same problem there, but it's not just us. It's going to affect a lot of clubs next season because of the World Cup.
Yeah, but
I think you're right though about the burnout of players, because you know, you mentioned Bernardo Silva being one of our best and standout players of recent months, most definitely. But let's not forget his age, and we know that he really and truly can't do 3 games back to back.
Yeah,
I'm amazed that he's done so well the last few weeks, to be honest.
Yeah.
Rodri again is a player that's been played back into form, but we've still got to be careful with him. Something that I don't think has been talked about very much last night, but I also think Haaland, you know, he's just come back from, okay, some will say it's a slight niggle, but, you know, we know that he's had issues with his ankles and stuff before. So, to me, I don't think he didn't look quite at his best last night either. Do you know what I mean? And may have been playing still through a bit of an injury.
Yeah.
You know, as you said, Nori's just come back off a bit of an injury and back off the AFCON. Diaz as well has just come back from an injury, so we're going to need the likes of Kuznov to come in, you know, at times. And Nunes has barely had a rest. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's been one of our best players, but last night it just seemed that he wasn't quite his best.
Yeah, Nunes was poor for me last night. Yeah,
he was. But is that because we played him so much? Do you know what I mean? He's barely been rotated.
You see, I've got no issue with Kuznov as a right back. So that's where Pep and the coaching staff have to make a call. We've got to rest Nunes. You know, it's why if Bernardo gets his 2 yellow cards and if he misses the right games, I'm not totally against Bernardo having a 2-game rest, because I think he might well need it. The problem is, have we got any games we can now afford to lose him? Probably not. You know, I was thinking it would have been good if he got it, you know, had got it over the last couple of weeks and missed Newcastle and one other game and, you know, took a chance in the FA Cup. But, you know, that is going to come into play. And I think we have to be realistic. I know fans will say, because they always do, that they earn 200 grand a week, they shouldn't be tired. Well, unfortunately, it's like people saying he's a rock star, he shouldn't have mental health issues. I mean, you know, the body doesn't matter whether you earn 50 million a week or you earn 50 cents a week. If you push your body beyond what it can do, you're gonna either get injuries or you're gonna get fatigue. And let's not forget, players who've not had any time off, proper break, you know, and if you look at Bernardo, he's barely had a break in a decade. I mean, he's you know, he's played more football than just about any other top 5 player in world football over, you know, 5, 8, 10 years. You know, there's going to be mental fatigue because, you know, those players, if they get a month off to go and, you know, sit on the beach in Ibiza, they can completely switch off for a month. Whereas our players, I don't know, if you get a week off before the World Cup Championship, you're not really switching off because you're not allowed to in any way, you know.
You've still got to train,
or you've got to train lightly through it. So you're looking after yourself. You're then going off. You've got trip to America. You've got all that pressure, you know, elation when we win. You know, we smash Juve, and desolation when Al Hilal, you know, whoever it was, you know, get the better of us, and you know, and then you get another little break, but you straight then back 2 weeks before into a really short pre-season. So, and I think, I mean, the irony is in the Champions League, a lot of the other clubs in the Champions League are in the same boat. I mean, we know PSG, Madrid, you know, Bayern, they all had that. So in the Champions League, we're not as disadvantaged, except the 4 English clubs who didn't. And I guess Barca, you know, and a couple of those other clubs who were in with a shout didn't. But in the Premier League, you know, we are up against a rival who last summer were having a proper 6-7 week holiday and break to prepare for this season when we got nothing. And so we've got to remember, you know, Arsenal should be fitter, fresher, and better prepared for this season than we are. You know, they've got us a huge advantage. You know, I've got no doubt that's probably a 6-9 point advantage over the season, having a proper break. And we've got to be fair to our players about that and not just melt down when a player who hasn't had the preparation they should have isn't at their absolute best.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of the players that came on last night, because I think it's important. Because, again, talking about injuries, you know, we had Doku coming back from an injury, first game back, really. And actually, you know, there were glimpses, but I still think he wasn't brilliant. But again, you know, I have no problems. You know, he came on in the 70th minute. What was he realistically going to do on his own? I thought Savio, in all honesty, again, you know, came on the 80th minute. But I did see, again, glimpses of him playing quite well, really trying, you know, and which is what we've all been begging for him, really. He's been able to make a good assist or a goal. And obviously he didn't get that, but he played well for the 10, 15 minutes that he was on. You know, I didn't have any concerns. He wasn't giving the ball away. And Kuzanov, again, coming on, you know, again, really putting a brilliant performance at the back, you know. So for me, we're going to, as you were saying, Rich, we are going to need to utilise these players going forward. I tell you the big standout, though, from last night that hasn't really been talked about very much is that we're crying out for a goal. And where was Mamouche? Do you know what I mean? He didn't even feature, didn't come off the bench, which is now starting to sound big alarm bells now. Is that I know he had a few games, and I called him out and said, you know, he missed his moments. He didn't take them in the last couple of games that he started. And I think that just, the alarm bells were right there last night for me, that I don't think he's got much of a future for City going forward.
Yeah.
Because if he's not able to come onto the pitch when we really need a goal, when he's supposed to be able to come on and make a change, make a big moment, I think that is a problem.
But for me, the way Pep changed up the tactics with bringing on, well, he put Husnoff on one side, right? So you need an out-and-out winger on that side, right? And then he kept Nunes on, and he moved Nunes to left back, right?
Yeah.
So I guess he wanted Nunes in. Like I think he just went to a winger type setup that wouldn't benefit Marmoush if he was on the pitch. So if Marmoush was to come on, you're probably looking at a Foden to come off for him if you want him in a behind the striker situation if we're having wingers out there.
But I also think that there was a reason that Aït-Nouri was taken off. I think there was a slight injury concern with Aït-Nouri, and that's why I think we saw the switch from Nunes going from left to right.
Ozzy, I think the problem with the Marmoush coming on is he had to come on for Haaland or Semenyo, and Semenyo had scored and, has looked our most likely player to score the last month. Doku had come on the other side, so Doku's on. So really, if Marmoush comes on, he's coming on for Haaland. So whilst there's a decision to say Marmoush comes on, what does that say about him? When you've got the deadliest striker in world football, it's a big call to bring them off. Because I don't think Semenyo was, coming off. I think he's looked our most likely to score.
Yeah.
Doku has come on the other side. So therefore, Marmoush comes on, he's coming on for Haaland. So that's
I get it, but at the end of the day, that's what Pep has paid the big bucks to do, is to make those big calls where, let's be honest, Haaland wasn't at his best last night again. And like I said, it's fair enough that if he's just come back from an injury, but then I think you've got to think, well, and we need a goal. We need to win this game.
Yeah.
So Marmoush is supposed to be clinical. He's supposed to be able to, be that fox in the box at times when we need, to be able to strike a ball in. So, yes, I agree with you, Rich, that Haaland is a big presence, but last night he really wasn't doing it. And I just think, you've got nothing to lose. Stick Marmoush on. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, for me, I just think it's now worrying that I think if Marmoush is not getting on the pitch when we need a goal, then
when
I think he's dead. I think when's he going to get on realistically? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. Obviously, there's been a lot of people talking about the shambolic 10-man performance against Spurs. They're 1 point off relegation right now. Wow, just shocking beyond belief, really. But hey ho, that's what happens. I think we'll move on slightly now because we haven't talked about one player a lot, and that is Phil Foden, which gets us into the next section. I'm going to keep it sort of brief. In all respects, because I know there's been a lot of criticism going his way, and I think you mentioned it earlier on, Rich, where it was only last year where I think he admitted that he was having some mental health issues. I think some people don't always really understand mental health and don't understand what people go through, and I think to talk about it is a big sign of that, you are trying to sort it out. You are trying to make people aware what's going on for you. And, it can affect anybody. Do you know what I mean? And he's been brave enough to turn around and say, I've had issues and I'm still working through them. And for me, I think, the club are basically turning around and going, we'll give you the time, the time you need. And I think Foden is very much a bit like Haaland. I think you have to play him back into form. I think he needs to play, and he needs to be happy when he's on the pitch. And honestly, last night, I didn't see a particularly happy Foden. I saw him struggling. And this is a player that, has come through the academy, who's we still look at him as this 17, 18-year-old kid, you know, even though he's nearly 26. But for me, he's such a phenomenal talent, and we know what he can do. He didn't win PFA Player of the Year a couple of seasons ago for nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we know the talent he's got. And I think there are some people that are a bit too, you know, hateful on him and think that he should be doing a lot better. He's paid so much and blah, 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 blah. But for me, he is a generational talent. I know there's a lot of talk about him in England, and I think obviously the Euros had a big effect on him. But I don't think anyone in that Euros out of any of the England team played well. I actually personally thought he was better than Bellingham, and there's so much hype around that kid, and I don't understand it in all honesty, because I just don't think he's that good since he's gone to Real Madrid. I think he's
Euros was Bellingham. I think Bellingham played Kane, Saka, Foden, and Rice. He made them worse because Bellingham made it all about him, and it was cutting out good players. And I've always said Bellingham. If you watch Jimmy Grimble, Bellingham is Gordon. It's like all about him. It's all about going to him, and the team will play worse with him. And I think that affected Phil a lot. But the media, very considerably, so a good sports media who watch football and comment particularly about football. We have all these ex-players who can see it. Most of them chose to sit on the Bellingham hype train rather than actually analyse the fundamental problem England had was Bellingham wants to play where Kane plays. For bringing other players into the game, Kane is 10 times better player than Bellingham is. And Bellingham made it all about him. I'm the best player in the world. I'm going to win the Ballon d'Or. And he sat him, pushed himself into where Kane should be. He didn't look at passes out to Saka and Foden. So he made Saka and Foden worse players and the other players around him. He made Kane a worse player. And that was, to me, a huge problem for England, and particularly a huge problem for Foden. I mean, I can't remember which game it was in the Euros where you'd see Foden about 25 times.
Yeah, you wouldn't pass it,
and not getting it. And, and I'm not saying Bellingham's not without talent. Bellingham is clearly Gordon had talent, but you have to be a team player. And I think probably Bellingham survives at Real Madrid because everyone around him is the same. Mbappe is all about team Mbappe. Vinicius is about team Vinicius. Bellingham's about team Bellingham. So they can all play there with the big egos and think it's all about them. And Madrid get by because they are top footballers, even if they're not team players. But for England, you're not going to win a World Cup that way because you've got to win, you're not going to win the Euros. You've got to play as a team. And, I think that's hit Foden badly. Because I think he felt he was being blamed, and he probably knows. He's probably been through it with Pep enough times. He probably knows why he wasn't effective at the Euros, and he knows it wasn't all down to him. Yes, he could have done better in some moments, but he was just badly affected by a coach who was playing give it to Gordon football. Now, obviously, I do have to drop in about 1 minute. So, I think I better put actually, it's not Premier League, so I don't have to do a Newcastle prediction, but I'm going to go 2-1 City just to annoy Newcastle, as we seem to have annoyed them all season. But it's going to be interesting. I'm kind of hoping we rest Bernardo and possibly rest Nunes, give Kusanov right back, because I think they're a couple of those players who do need a rest. So my main hope is we scrape a win and we rest a couple of players. So evening or morning all.
Well, thank you, Rich, for joining us as always, and thanks for coming on and contributing.
Anyways,
appreciate it, mate. And You take care of yourself. And as if by magic, we have his replacement. Good evening, Martin. I hope you're doing well, mate. He's there somewhere. He'll appear when he's ready. I think he'll stay off camera, though, in all honesty. But anyway, Martin said that he's still recovering and he might pop on for the last 10 minutes, which he has, and he'll contribute when he can. Ed, let's get your thoughts, mate, on Foden. Where are you at?
For me, I thought he was okay. I thought he had some moments where he looked really into the game. I thought he had some moments where he didn't look into the game. I know the way Forrest was set up, he was trying to occupy pockets at times, and this really meant if we were able to create angles enough for him to get in those positions, right? I think he had a couple of opportunities where he tried to set up Haaland with the through ball. I thought he was really aggressive early on with a couple of long-range shots, but we really weren't able to get him in some of the positions maybe where he could have been more effective closer to goal a lot of times. So, but at the same time, when you're a high-profile player like Foden, you're going to get criticism, especially when it's a bad result. Unfortunately, I wouldn't say he was a negative for us when he was out there. The only questionable time I had with Phil was when Anderson passed it to the man, he didn't stay with him. He just was occupying space. But other than that, I didn't have any issues with Phil Foden.
Yeah, I mean, Pardo just, said to me there that, do you think he's playing well then? Why is he on the bench? He's a terrific player. Yeah, he is a terrific player. He is out of form right now. There are a lot of things going on for him right now where that is probably one of the reasons he has been on the bench. Do I think, actually, if you really think about it, just before Christmas and into the new year, actually Foden seemed to be coming back to what we were calling his best. Do you know what I mean? He went through that couple of month period where, we're all going, well, this is the old Phil Foden, he's back, and then had that slight injury and then has kind of gone back into where he was at the beginning of the season, a lot of last season. So, he obviously is struggling a lot.
Yeah.
But there is no denying his talent. There's no denying that, he has a future at City. I know there's, we'll get onto some of the contract stuff, but we'll just start with Foden. I have no doubt that there's I know there's a contract on the desk for him, and I'm pretty sure from everything that I've heard that he's going to be signing that deal. It's pretty much done, and it'll probably be announced at the end of the season. And I still think he's a player that's worth a contract. I still think he's got a lot to give this club. When it comes to his England stuff, I'm not particularly bothered, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
well, Ed, I'm sure you're not because you're American for one thing, but I mean, I just think the whole hype thing around England winning the World Cup I think it's just it's going to happen realistically. But I think there are so many players in that position. You look at Palmer, you look at a lot of the others. Morgan White, I think he's sort of a shout kind of thing. But there is so much attacking talent that I think it is difficult for any player to get a starting position in the England World Cup coming up. So, but for me, he's just a phenomenal player. He's a generational talent, and I have so much confidence that we will see the best from Phil Foden again, and we will see it for more than just a couple of months. I think there's even potential if he can find that resilience going forward. I can see him adding, and getting back into this season, whether it's in the Premier League or whether it's in the Champions League. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or one of the other cups. Do you know what I mean? I think he's got so much to give an add. So, yeah, I don't have any major concerns about his future. I have concerns about his mental health, obviously, and I really hope he's able to overcome it because I know how difficult it is. I know there's a lot of people watching this that are going to feel the same way, that at times we've all struggled and we needed help and support. It doesn't matter how rich or successful you are, you know, it really doesn't. So, yeah. Evening, Luke.
Evening, you all right?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, well, I'm fine. Yeah. It's well, apart from yesterday's result, I'm all right. I'm all good. You know, life's all good and all that jazz. But yeah, as I said, I've been sort of in and out, sort of the stream while I've been doing a few things here and there. That other show beforehand, so I've been in the background, but I've been sort of hearing. But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that the reaction doesn't. I mean, you know, when you draw a game in a title race, especially at home, the team you're drawing against, it is a frustrating one. But I think all you can do at this point is just keep going. But I know people, you can say one that it's over and that, but until it's over mathematically, it's still on. So that's what we can do, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, mate. It's for me, Ed, and Rich was on earlier. It's not over. Nowhere near it. We all talked weeks ago. Even when we were winning, you know, I think we've won 6 games back to back, you know, apart from this game last night.
Yeah.
You know, we all felt there was a chance that we were going to drop points over the next few weeks. Do you know what I mean? But we also felt that Arsenal could drop points as well. So this league isn't done by any stretch of the imagination. There are a lot of tough games coming up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for both Arsenal and us. Now, you can say that they've got the maybe easier side in the Premier League up the run, but they've still got to play Champions League games. They've still got to play us, not only at the Etihad for in the league, but also got to play at Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
If they get a serious injury, no, I'm not wishing that, but I'm just saying speculatively that if they get an injury or they lose against us in both those, you know, rounds of the FA Cup and the league, what could that do to their morale? Do you know what I mean? All of a sudden, you know, as Arsenal do, they could suddenly go, "Oh my God, you know, what is going on?" So it's not in the realms of possibility that we can't go on and win anything this season.
But what I'll say is that I think if I'm frustrated with anything is I think away from home, I get the conservative approach. I understand that. But when you're at home and you've got to take initiative and you're not doing that, you're sitting back and scoring a goal. It just it baffles me because I'm not saying Forest you should be battering 5-0, but like we did against Fulham, 2-3, we got it done and then locked out and got the result. Forest are like 18 this year. Burnley and Wolves included that as well. Every team this year is hard to play against this year than ever before. Like everyone's fighting for something this year. I don't know why though. The strategy is to then sit back on a 1-goal lead at home when you know that the Forest have players like Equal Jesus, Gibbs White, players who can score goals out of nothing, and it's something it's 1-1 or whatever. I just feel like it's just I don't get that strategy. Like we've got the players in this team to play on the counter attack and get the goals and get them done. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I can't understand where you're coming from, but I don't think we played that bad last night. In honesty, you know,
no.
Nottingham Forest played a very good low block. They took us on the counter, but I think you have to remember they barely had a lot of chances against us. The chances they did have, they scored. Yeah, okay, they scored 2 goals, but you know, I don't think we gave them much to really. It took 2 really good goals, and I'm talking about Morgan Gibbs White, who for me, he's one of the best players in the Premier League, and he could be playing for one of the top clubs in Europe.
Yeah,
and we're talking about Elliot Allison, both players as well that we've been linked with, you know, since last summer. Do you know what I mean? So, and the other players you've mentioned, we've mentioned them tonight. They've got some very good players. So even if they stay up, do you know what I mean? They're still looking at trying to keep hold of some of these players because there are going to be clubs coming in for them in the summer, and you know, these players are going to have ambitions themselves. So I do understand your frustrations of thinking, you know, we should have been better. But actually, I think we were pretty good last night. I didn't see the issues that you're raising that I didn't think. We did go at them. We did try. I think it comes down to, realistically, they're a good team with good players. They had a strategy they came with, and they played really well. We just, didn't we weren't clear cut enough with our chances, and two, we had a few decisions that went against us. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I don't think it's as bad as that, but I understand the frustrations. I really do.
I mean, for me though, like, look, I mean, what I would say is, right, I mean, I agree, we weren't played that badly, but when you look at the stats though, 21 shots, 7 on target, that's been an issue, I think, all season. I mean, I look back at some of our games like Chelsea 1-1, Brighton 1-1. Our shots ratio, the shots on target ratio, is quite terrible for what it should be. I think we had chances, but we should. I think we should be doing a lot better with our chances in terms of getting the box. Like, we're playing well, but it's just that final ball, or or just getting more opportunity into the box, so players like Haaland or Semenyo can get on them and get the shot on goal. I think that's probably what we're missing right now. We're not clinical enough, I think, in games like that, where it's a tight game like that, where it was said, but I know we've got 2 goals, but we've seen 2 goals as well. So it's one of those things where I think if we could just get a bit more of a clinical edge in this team in games like that and sort of get the game won before they have a part player in the game themselves, then I think we'll be all right. Again, I'm not panicking about where we're going to be. Again, we're still along, we're still in March, long way to go. I'm not sort of panicking about that, but I think I'm trying to see where we can improve. That's probably where I'm at right now. I think it's that part of the game that we've got to try and work on, and sort of being ruthless when we need to be.
One of the interesting stats that I've seen actually about this season that I don't think has been picked up very much is that actually, and this is going not just for City, this is going across the league for all teams, is that most games are going to 2 goals. Do you know what I mean? No one is getting 3, 4s, and 5s. Do you know what I mean? Those just aren't happening this season. Do you know what I mean? So I think, we are seeing quite a low percentage of goals, and we're seeing a lot of 2-1s in the last 10 minutes of games and then teams equalising. So it's not just us this is happening to. It's happening to a lot of teams throughout the league. So this season, it's, as we were saying, me and Ed were saying kind of at the beginning of the show, is that there are so many top teams now, and you have to put Forest in that league because they've got some very good players. And that's going for the rest of the league as well. The league has never seemed to be as hard as it ever has been, because you are now, I mean, for me, you could at least say that most teams in this league have got probably 1 or even 2, 3 team players that could be playing in Champions League clubs. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is how competitive the league is getting right now, is that some of these teams where we say they're middle teams, or they're a little bit lower than that, actually, some of these teams have got some really world-class players that can really hurt you on the day. And I just think that is still something that I think we need to think about. And also, as we were saying as well, a lot of people were putting us at the beginning of the season to be lucky if we were going to finish 4th, because we were going through a rebuild. Actually, to be second right now and in a title race for the Premier League, I actually think we're in a schedule if we're supposed to be going through a bit of a rebuild. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I said second anyway. I always thought we would probably be close, but look, again, still March, still a lot can happen. So obviously, I'm not giving up. I'm just like, I said second because I thought we'll be in the mix, but to win it, I have to see where we are towards the end of the season. And we're what? So if we beat Palace in obviously the game, it's 4 points. If we beat Arsenal, it's 1 point. So it's not the end of the world, but I think it's always good to have the stakes in your own hands rather than obviously having to rely on someone else to help you out. But that's probably where it's frustrating, I think, because the draw yesterday, I think, if I'm being honest.
But as I said earlier in the stream, Luke, you go back to 2014, we were 7 points behind Liverpool, and that was in April. And look what happened. We wound to win the league. Do you know what I mean?
Points,
so things can change very quickly in the Premier League.
Yeah, of course.
Very quickly.
I think, like you said, right? Like, again, in 2012, 8 points by United, and a Stephen Pienaar happened, 3-3 at Old Trafford. Like, again, for me, with Arsenal, right, the games that I said before, the ones that you've got to look at are the Evertons at home, Burnley at home. Although they're at home, Arsenal always seem to struggle against teams that are not necessarily in the same club. Like even Brighton yesterday, Brighton were a bit lucky. It is 1-1 there, and that's a different kind of result. Like, obviously they won the game. Fair enough. They were at 3 points, but it's like us against Leeds winning 1-0. It's a similar sort of result that we had at Leeds United recently. It's just I think what we got to do is just stay in the mix, just win our games, and I think in the big games like Arsenal at home in the league, you get that win. I think if we draw that game, that's not ideal. I think if you're going for a league, you have to win at home against Arsenal, for sure, to have a chance. But yeah. Like, I'm more frustrated than I'm like panicking. I'm more like, because obviously when you're at home, you want to win at home and obviously get. I mean, if that Forest away was a draw, I wouldn't necessarily mind it as much. If you know what I mean, because away at home is always difficult. But when you're at home, it's games that you want to win.
Yeah, but I also think we've got that kind of. We were talking about Etihad being a fortress, at times in the last few seasons. Like, it's been a place where we've been barely beaten in our recent history. So I think that's also in the back of your head. But listen, Arsenal, yes, they got the job done last night. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you look at the game and you kind of go, well, Brighton actually were probably lucky to not get a draw, but Arsenal got the job done. But the thing I look at Arsenal and go is they're playing like a team that are literally coming to the end of the season. Like, they've only got a handful of games left and they're starting to, like Liverpool did at the end of last season, where they were just kind of going through the motions. That is kind of what we're seeing from Arsenal right now. And there's 10 games and they've got to come to the Etihad. They're really going to have to change the way they're playing, because if they come in with that kind of, level of, and they could, they really could, but for right now, from what we're seeing from them, it's like, yeah, they're scraping the wins, they're getting them, but come up against some of these teams where, they're going to be fighting against relegation or just fighting for whatever, or us, that could be a different thing. It really could be.
I've kept quiet long enough.
He's kept quiet. He's back. Guess who's back?
Good evening.
Back again.
Sorry I'm not on camera. There's reasons. Right. I'm going to give my opinion, and my opinion only. People don't like it. Tough titty, said the kidder. I'm bored of it. Listen. This meltdown, and I will call it a meltdown, is quite boring. I have had emails today from people, I'm not going to name them, I've had people in the comments who said they're going to quit YouTube for a bit because they don't want to come on it anymore. Because they're bored of the reactions, they're bored of the babiness, they're bored of the attacking players constantly just because we're not top of the league or we may not win a league. I understand people give me standards FC. Caldoon said this. Everyone will go on about this, that, and the other. And that's fine. Have your opinion in a constructive way. I don't think what's been said in the last 24 hours is at all constructive. At all. All I've heard now for 4 months is Ruben Diaz shit, get him out. Donnarumma, get him out. Kushinov, get him in. Cherky, why is he on the bench? Foden is a fisherman, get him out. Number 26, blah, blah, blah. Rodri, see you later. Bernardo, get the fuck out of the club. I'm bored of it. If you think that's football analysis, then you don't understand football analysis. That is just over-emotional BS. Everyone's now calling Pep out, etc. now, etc., etc. now. This is the same people who 2 weeks ago were jumping around saying we were potentially going to win a quad.
Tell him, Martin.
And now we're sat here after one draw and a poor so-so performance. I'm not going to say it's poor performance. I don't think it was a poor performance. And now we're sat here coming out with the worst team ever, this, that, and the other, Factually, Manchester City are the informed team in the Premier League. Factually.
Yep.
Just shut that out there to everyone.
Didn't we draw a Forest
Factually.
1-1 in Treble, didn't we? In Treble, didn't we?
Yeah.
Was that okay.
And don't give me the Khaldoon's got standards, because Khaldoon owns the club. You don't. Your job is to support the club through good or bad. Not to chuck your toys out the pram because you're not getting a title at the end of the season. This BS of hiding behind Khaldoon and Sheikh Mansour. Khaldoon and Sheikh Mansour don't know who the fuck any of us are. They don't care who we are. They do not care who we even talk about. They ain't bothered. They are billionaires. We are the little ants that the billionaires stamp all over. This is why, for a start off, if Sheikh Mansour and Khaldoon cared what we all thought, they won't be trying to kick half of us out. So, Predator, we are the most informed. It's factual. Go and look it up. We're actually the most informed team alongside Arsenal. In the last 6-7 games, we've picked up the most wins with the most points, and we're level on goals. I've researched it. I can show it on camera right now. People have got to just. I get it. We didn't beat Forest. I understand that. I understand there was parts. People. The reason people go, yeah, is Foden my favourite player? Of course he is. Will I criticise him? Yes. But I'm going to say this right now. There was about 4 worse players on that pitch last night than Phil Foden, and not one person said anything about him.
Haaland's one, wasn't it? Haaland was one.
Erling Haaland was worse than Phil Foden last night.
By far.
I thought Rodri was actually quite good. I watched the game back. I thought Rodri was actually poor last night when I watched it back. Matt Gay was not good last night. It was his first bad game for Manchester City since he signed, actually.
Not great. Nah, not great.
We've got to stop this scapegoating people. That's not constructive criticism. You don't understand the term constructive criticism then. Another thing that's crept in, and it's in the comments on last night's show, this English stuff. What is this crap? I don't care what their passport says. If they're wearing a blue shirt, I back them.
Yep.
We're the channel who back Savinio. We're the channel who were backing Calvin Phillips right up until God knows where everyone else had disappeared and forgotten about him.
Still at the club, just to...
I'm sorry. I really don't understand it. I think people have lost their minds. Each to your own if you want to do this, that, and the other. Another thing I've seen today, people who I've not seen around for 6 weeks have suddenly cropped up again. When City are winning, you don't see them. You don't see them. You only see these people when we don't win. Coincidence? I don't think so. When we're winning, like we have been, we've actually won, I think, is it 9 out of 11 we've won? In all comps, something daft like that. You get, oh, you're being happy clapper. No, it's called backing the club. I'm sorry, the title ain't over for me. Our Arsenal favourites 1,000%. But this title ain't over. The twists and turns in this. I've seen us draw. This was Arsenal. The thing that gets me is we laugh at Arsenal fans 2 weeks ago. Whoa, we'll all go on AFTV and get our popcorn out and watch the rants on our AFTV, and it's funny. Let's go and watch all these Arsenal fans laughing and joking at each other and having a meltdown. Lee Judges is having a meltdown. Lee Gunner's having a meltdown. Everyone's having a meltdown. Igal's having a meltdown. And then what happens 2 weeks later? When we draw, we do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm. And it'll be Arsenal next. They'll be off together.
People in glass houses shouldn't be chucking stones. If you seriously think we were ever going to win 38 out of 38 games, then you're living in planet Zog. You're living in a different universe, a different Milky Way. You're living somewhere seriously, somewhere else. And the trouble is, they hide behind this statement of Khaldoon set standards. This is Khaldoon who promised you all these top signings. Where are they? The reason why no one will call the board out, or instead of, they all call Pep and the players, but they won't call the board sometimes because they're scared of the board up and then leaving. Everyone can be criticised for different things, but you do it in a constructive way. I'm sorry, the thing that makes me laugh is Bukayo Saka has scored 1 goal in 1 calendar year. And Arsenal fans are celebrating a brand new contract saying he's great. We destroy ours. Has anyone asked the question why all these players are wanting out the club at the minute? Anyone asked that question?
Because of how they're being
treated. Anyone wonder why Rodri's on a contract? Would you say?
Martin, you can't just say something like that.
No, because I'm going to say this. I know, and people call me ITQ whoever they want. I know for a fact the players are pissed off with some of the stuff that goes on with them online.
Well, who you think wants out? You can't just.
I've never seen it like this before. I've been a City fan for 40-odd years. I've never seen it like this.
Talking about the fans.
Yeah. And it's not all fans. I'd say it's a small minority that are the loudest, that hide behind the expectations and the standard stuff.
Yeah.
And they hide behind it.
The thing is, Martin, I'm going to have to call you out a little bit because we're not the only club that experiences social media meltdowns. And you're right, it is a small section of the so-called City fan base that seem to kind of scream with the loudest voice. I think most City fans are level-headed and, talk about things in a sensible way. I don't think most City fans feel that way about certain players. I think everyone has their issues with certain players. I've called people out, like Savinho. I've called out Ryan Aït-Nouri quite a lot recently. But as far as I'm concerned, those are constructive criticisms. They're not, what I'd say are, I just hate that player. Do you know what I mean? I have an agenda because I don't like that player. No, for me, it's not about...
I'm not saying that, but I've watched it all day, mate, and nothing is being constructive at the minute.
No, I'm sure.
Nothing's constructive right now.
I'm sure that is with some people, Martin, online, but I don't think it's for the majority of fans that are out there. And I think you're right. I think there are players. I don't know why the screen's gone like this, by the way. I don't know if you've done it, Martin.
I'm trying to work it out. StreamYard's changed its settings.
Yeah. I do feel that you're right.
Down a script in notes. What the frig's that?
I do feel there are.
There you go.
There are players that do obviously keep up with social media. A lot of players who are on social media have somebody else dealing with their social media, but it doesn't mean they don't see some of it, and it will affect them. But like I said, we're not the only fan base. I mean, you have to look at Arsenal fans and the absolute historic meltdowns that they have about their club and their players. I think about United and about where they are and where they've been over the last few years and the meltdowns they've had. Not every player is going to pay attention and suddenly want to up and leave the club. Do you know what I mean? Some it will affect, but I really don't think, in all honesty, there are a lot of players that are suddenly just going to leave. There will be one or two maybe that think, like Edison. I think Edison had gone one to the end of his career at City because I think he'd won everything he wanted and wanted a change. But two, I think some of the things that were being, posted online were absolutely disgusting and needed to be called out, and were just. I couldn't blame him. I'd been in his position, I would have wanted to leave, but you know,
where I disagree with you, is, for example, sorry to say this, Phil Foden's family had to get the police involved because someone put up a fake story that his daughter had cancer.
Yeah, and again, wrong and disgusting, and should be definitely called out. And that person needs to be, you know, have the full weight of the law thrown at them, because that you shouldn't be doing that at all.
You know, Edison, death threats to his family, the Kanja threats, and also it's happening too often now.
The sad thing is, Mark,
we never liked this before. It is happening.
But I think sadly, this isn't just I don't think this is just a football thing, and I don't want to get too much into it because we're not here for that. But I do think society has seriously pivoted in the way of where people can just think they can say and do anything, and there are very little, things that are going to come back at them. You know, I think as a society right now, there are so many things going on in the world, and the way people's attitudes are going is just, it's for me, it's disgusting, you know, and I just don't think you can behave like that. And I think eventually, and I hope things will change, but right now, right here, you know, I don't think, and I'm going to say, and I've said it, but I'm saying it again, I don't think the majority of City fans think and believe that the way some of the small minority who are shouting the loudest and putting whatever online are the majority. So
no, I never said the majority.
No, you didn't. I'm
never
saying
said
that.
The majority. I said the small minority. But the problem is, it's like there's this belief at the minute of the thing is what's getting me at the minute is nothing is ever everything's A to Z at the minute.
Yep.
And I understand it. I get it, because we're always after a cause for a problem. When something doesn't go right, we want to find out what the problem is. But we can't just blame everything and everyone. Sometimes it is just not our year.
Yeah.
It's just not our year.
Well, Martin, when was the last time
that
City? When was the last time that City were in a title race, right? And didn't win the league? Because 12-13 went to where we like United just went off the distance that year. We're nowhere near it at all. 14-15 Chelsea were far better. The year after we were nowhere near it really. In the end, it was Leicester and that. 19-20 we were nowhere near it, obviously because Liverpool was just that good. We had injuries galore. This year, after winning the league, it's the first time since the takeover that City being a title race and haven't won it.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Yeah.
I understand some of it because some people are not used to this. And I have every sympathy for those people. Because I always say you have to go through a little bit of adversity to appreciate the greatness at the end of it. I'm a big believer in that. Sometimes you have to go through a little bit of pain to enjoy it again. Like Arsenal now. Arsenal are going to, if they win the league, they will enjoy it more than anyone because they've gone 22 years winning nothing hardly.
Yeah.
But then
they lived on an FA Cup for 20 odd years or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that it's hard to win it, but it's even harder to retain it. So they're going to be looking at that next season. So if they win it, the pressure then will be on, can you retain it? And no club has gone on to retain it, apart from City, in the last, how many years has it been now since the last club did it back apart from us?
Is it 15 years, is it? Or more
I think
than
it's
that,
got to be 15 years.
20 years?
Yeah.
Do you know the mad thing is, I've seen, if we do what some have suggested, the loud minority have suggested, of sell Diaz, we let Bernardo go, we let Rodri go, we sell Foden. Well, then you're moving the club back 5 years.
Yeah.
Keep saying this is like Arsenal selling 4 or 5 of their first teamers out. Or we can't just do that.
It's not Karima.
I think it does depend though. Sorry, Luke.
Go on.
I was just going to say it does depend on you can't sell so many of the big players. Like I agree with you. The likes of Diaz and Foden, and those players, just for me, you're not going to sell because they are such brilliant players on their day. The likes of Bernardo Silva, he is coming to the end of his time at the club, whether we want to admit that or not. He may be one of the big players and one of the main players that's done so well this season, but we have to be realistic. He's coming to the end of his City career rather than the beginning, So whether he goes at the end of the season or extends another year, he's going sooner rather than later.
I totally agree, and he should do.
We have to be prepared for that, and that's when we do have to bring in the next player, maybe that comes in, whether that's an Elliot Anderson or somebody else. So you evolve, and we've evolved ever since the likes of we've lost some of the big players that have played for us, the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva's, Aguero's, companies.
Yeah, I know
we've moved on, and we've been able to rebuild, and
we've got better. We never won a treble with Company, David Silva, Sergio Aguero. We couldn't win a Champions League with any of them.
No, and they were considered to be our best players ever. They've got
with Yaya, with Zabaleta, some of the greats that have got statues outside that stadium. We couldn't win anything. We couldn't win the big one. I get it hurts. I understand it hurts. But do you know what's worrying for me, Ozzy, at the minute? I'll tell you what it is. I go off patterns. And when I see empty seats all over the gaff at the stadium, and I see fans infighting all over the place online, whether it's on YouTube shows or Twitter or Instagram or wherever, that doesn't set a great precedent. That's not showing that you're all together. There is a disconnect somewhere, and everyone hides behind this. Oh, it's social media. It can't just be. We can't have all these empty seats and no atmosphere in the stadium and then say it's social media.
No, and we've talked about this several
times. No, I'm just saying there is a. What we're doing is we keep sticking our. We keep sticking our head in the parapet and going, oh, well, social media. And I don't think we can keep using social media. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's like all I've heard in the last week is football's dead. It's boring. People are going watching other leagues. They don't want to watch Premier League. They don't want to watch Arsenal. They don't want to watch City. They don't want to watch anything anymore. Everyone's after respect. For some weird reason, everyone's got the knickers in a twist over respect me. I want respect, which I find astonishing. No one's got any patience anymore.
No.
And everyone's solution is sell half the squad and sack the manager.
Yeah, well, I promise you, we get rid of the manager.
I wish it was I wish it was as easy as to sell half the squad and sack the manager. And hey, presto, we start winning. We start winning all the leagues again. I wish it was that easy, guys.
Well, let's be honest. You look at the rest of the league, you look at the so-called other big six clubs, and I'm sorry, but they've changed how many players and they've changed how many managers, and have they come anywhere close to what we have done? No.
Sure. Yeah, and that's that. Do you know what? That's my major thing, Ozzy, in all of this is that I love this football club like everybody else. And if people think I'm not hurting, well, I literally am hurting at the minute. I'm talking about, figuratively, not literally at the minute. I have. It's why I'm off camera. You don't want to see my head right now. Unless you want to see that. That is an After Dark special. Yeah. I just, listen, I get people are upset and they're angry and they're emotional. I 1000% get it. But we work better when we are together. I keep saying this.
Yeah.
And it's also, I also look at the people in the audience we've got. They must be bored having the same conversation. Literally.
Yeah. It's boring.
On each show. They go to ours, same show. True City fan, same show. LB, same topic. Here, same topic. It's like I feel like I'm doing therapy sessions on the weekly now rather than a football analytical show.
I feel like I'm a
I feel like I'm becoming Dr. Phil.
Yeah, with Dr. Phil every week. Oh, Drew, a transfer appointment.
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm going to say this. Fucking hell, Tottenham, look at them in a minute. Aston Villa, we're the greatest team in the world. Well, no, you're not. You know, United are back. Everyone's back. Either everyone's back, and you watch it on Saturday. Well, if we beat Newcastle, everyone will be cock-a-hoot again.
It swings and roundabouts, banks, though, isn't it? It's
but do you know
one bad game to the
yeah,
next.
I've had this with Arsenal fans. I go on shows, you know, I go on Judge Mo and Sam and all the others, and I have a debate. And one week it's Arsenal are the greatest team. Then the next week, all City are the favourites. Then it's back to Arsenal are the favourites. I've never known a season where it changes every match. And I mean every single game.
Well, Martin, Everton, right, next week, right, West Ham away, at Arsenal, Everton home. Watch us beat West Ham and Arsenal draw with Everton. Suddenly, we're back in it again. Oh, it's like,
yeah,
I can't do this anymore, mate. I can't be messing up because I'd say it's one thing for certain, right? This title race is going right to the wire. Palace away for Arsenal, we're home to Villa. It's going to be one of them races, I think. It's going to the last day.
100 quid an hour.
So, I mean, Blue Heart would put it there. I just put it up.
Yeah, go on, mate. Sorry, put it up again. Sorry, my bad.
That's all right. I did just lose it, but where is it? There it is. I totally agree with Blue Heart. You know, you only have to look at, you know, this is coming from a YouTube channel, but there are a lot of YouTube channels out there, and there are a lot of good ones, but we seem to be going down there very much, nearly all of them, going down this path of the drama sells. Do you know what I mean? The clicks sell. The big kind of City in crisis and blah, blah, blah.
Going on camera.
Oh, God. We don't need to see it. Block your
I've
eyes. If there are any kids in the room, take them out of the room.
I've got a hat on. Well, it's that side, yeah.
But, you know, this is what sells. I mean, you have to remember that, you know, this is what social media, this is what big YouTube influencers do. You know, they sell the drama because they need the clicks, they need the money to come through. So the more drama, the more they can cause, the more people are going to come and watch them. You know, Arsenal Fan TV have been doing this for years. The reason it's the way it is, and the reason, you know, a lot of Arsenal fans have hated it for so long, is because it went down this path of, but it's sold. I mean, if you look at some of their mini clips they come out, they put them out because they're about drama. They're about getting the views. They're about, you know, oh, this so-and-so is having a go at Robbie and, you know, blah, blah. And it's just like, that's the reason they're doing it, is because of the drama.
A big Winston Churchill. You watch Robbie will do his another Winston Churchill. I'm a big listen. I'm not going to have a go at any, listen.
No,
LB's
you
mate of mine, and LB works mad.
Yeah. It's like, you know, Goldbridge is the worst. He's you know, he's a character. He's a puppet. He's a, you know, he puts this persona on because it sells. I do think we are not that type of channel who says things for clicks. We try and have our own opinions, and we try to basically. You may not agree with us, and we may be the happy clappers of the Manchester City fan base, but we're true to what we believe. And
do you know why we're happy clappers? Because we're just and this isn't even. You'll probably notice we bring, and people don't like this. We will have anyone on this channel on a panel within reason.
Careful.
But what we want to do is we want to get good debates, because we want to have good football debates. Listen, because we know other channels and other areas do the emotional stuff. We want to try and be not like Nobbins, but sort of in that, us and Nobbins kind of in the same wheelhouse. We want to have a bit more grown-up discussions about it. Not just the shit, get out. There's no constructive criticism in this shit, get out. You know, my worry at the minute, and I'll just read it to you, is my worry moving forward is this. And I think you probably already read it out, Ozzy. So if I have, I apologise, mate, on this.
Sorry.
Sorry, I've not got my glasses. My eyes are swollen. Where is it? I put it in the group chat, didn't I? I sent it to so many people. Where the frig's it gone? Right. As of now, Stones and Monado are out at the summer, yeah?
Right.
So 2 gone. Rodri, Foden, Ake, Kovacic are all in the last 12 months.
Yep. That's it.
Rico Trafford, Nico G, and Mamouche are all potential departures at the moment.
Which was going to be our third topic of the show, but we are running out of time, so it may be one that we have to really come back to more in depth. But
that's 10 players that have question marks on their head.
Yeah,
crazy.
We can't just get rid of 10 and bring in 10 again.
That's crazy. That's a rebuild.
That is Man United situation. That is Chelsea.
Because
something's gone wrong somewhere then. Something's gone wrong in this club somewhere for having 10. When a transitional period wasn't meant to be, and by the way, I worked it out, 25 players will have left in the last 18 or 24 months, including the youngsters. I haven't done Mafuni, I haven't done Macassar, I haven't done, but with a Kanju and Grealish and all, 25 players nearly.
As Lenny put, as Forest levels.
That's not a rebuild. That's not a rebuild. That is knocking the foundations down and going again.
A restructuring of the whole club, pretty much.
That's rebuilding the whole club and back up to roots again.
At least 3 years of rebuild. At least 3 years.
And we're second in a league. Could you imagine if everything was okay?
Would be probably win the league by counter.
We'd be 10 or 15 points clear of the bastards.
Yeah. And that was my point at the beginning of the show.
I don't think it's anywhere near us as bad as people are making it out to be. Because the problem is, when you make it out, when you make something 10 times bigger and more dramatic, it will get more things going. I understand it. But we can't do this, By the way, I will just let this out right now about Manchester, because I know someone's going to tell me performances. I agree. But we did shows a couple of weeks ago, and we all said in this kind of a run-in, it wasn't about performances, it was about wins. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
So since we got beat at Bodo Glimt, which was the 20th of January, we beat Wolves 2-0, beat Galatasaray 2-0. We drew at Tottenham, we beat Newcastle 3-1, we won at Anfield, beat Fulham 3-0, beat Salford 2-0, beat Newcastle 2-1. We won 1-0 away at Leeds, and then the 2-2 at Forest. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So in the last 10 games, you won 8, drawn 2. How are we so... And that's where I pull back on that we are completely and utterly shit. Complete and utter shit is not 8 wins and 2.
It's just goals that I'm thinking. I think that I'm looking at right now in certain games.
Last night was goals, Luke. Last night was we couldn't finish. We couldn't score with $2,000 in our back pocket in a brothel last night.
21 shots, 7 on target. 130 shots are on target out of 21. That's the issue there in itself. You know what I mean? That's the issue in itself. So. And
people then say, bring on Mamouche. These are the same people who said Mamouche was poor in the previous 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Sorry. No, but you know, we can't do this slag off 1 minute, bring them on the next, slag them off the next.
For me, Martin, I said, for me, I wasn't slagging him off. I think he was poor.
I don't mean you were slagging him. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, but what I mean is that the worry was that he didn't come on, that he wasn't trusted enough when we needed a goal. We needed a goal scorer. He didn't come on. So that is a worrying.
What's this? That's poor. So 8 wins out of 8 wins, 2 draws in the last 10. That's poor for our standards. What are our standards, Prada?
For me, the standards were reset last season. Last season, it was right. We start again then because
his standards 38 wins out of 38, go unbeaten. What are the standards? I don't get this standards bit. That's the best run of form out of any team in England.
It's like everyone's forgot about last season. like where we were last year. Like that's what I understand.
Wait a minute, Martin. Read that list again.
What? The players?
Yeah.
It's in the group chat, Ed.
Oh, is
Jesus,
it? Let me
you
look
need
at it because I'm about to tell you right now. I'm about to tell you right now, live on Mancuning Way.
We don't care.
Oh dear. Listen, I mean, for me, I've got through soon.
I will
for
stay
me-
and do an extra 20 because I have jumped in. It won't be much longer because I'm not back properly till Sunday.
Yeah, I've got to go because I've got work tomorrow. So, but for
He's
me,
wearing a rather lovely top there.
He is. It's a great top.
Yes.
That's a great top. Brilliant
fabulous
top.
top.
All right, Martin, you ready? Oh,
Hang on, Ed.
Sorry, Ollie.
Jesus.
But Ozzy,
Whoa.
listen, be respectful to us.
Get rushed.
It's like
Hold
pissed
off,
off, Ozzy.
Ozzy.
I want to get, you know,
No,
why
no,
he wants to
come
get to his
on.
point. He wants to get to his point, Ozzy, to say I was correct.
Oh yeah, of course.
No.
Another agenda merchant. There we go. No, all respect to Ed, he knows I'm joking. No, listen, it was one I wanted to get into tonight more, and we may come back to it anyway. But listen, there are a lot of
We will come back to Ozzy, I promise you.
Yeah, there are a lot of potential players that could leave in the summer. I don't think all of them will leave. I think there are a good few that will leave, but we've also got to remember our recruitment has been absolutely fantastic in this club, and since Viana's come in, I think I said it earlier on about the January signings. Look at what we did, and those could make a difference either in the Premier League or in the club competitions that we're still in. So for me, the future is still very, very bright. I think we can only build upon this. I look forward to discussing this more with you guys really soon. But for me, it is a good night. Thank you to everybody who's joined us tonight. Thank you to Rich. Thank you to Ed. Thank you to Luke for coming on late, mate. Appreciate you coming on, though.
Big up.
Always a pleasure having you on. And of course, Martin, hopefully you'll recover and be back to your best. I know your brain injuries are things that you need to get over, and you'll soon be tickety-boo, I'm sure. But anyway, good night, guys.
Big up, mate.
Big up, man. Have a good one.
See you later.
Yeah, but we won't go for much longer. Listen, Predator, for what you just said, in the treble season, we drew at home to Everton 1 each. Yeah. We got beat at home to Brentford 2-1. Yeah. People remember. Yeah. We because there are situations where we have drawn and we got beat by players. We got beat by Liverpool 1-0, which we generally always did. We drew with Nottingham Forest away 1 each. We drew away at Villa 1 each. We drew at Newcastle 3 each, who weren't doing great guns then either. City have always. We drew away at West Ham 2-2. From the people have got to be careful, because there's this belief of we have never drawn to bottom of the league. We have. City have never won the league either. We've never done anything either, and people have got to just. We've always come from behind. We've always been 7, 8, 9 points behind.
April, by the way, April most of the time as well.
Do you know Arsenal, in the treble year, Arsenal were further ahead with less games to go than they are now.
And we're a better team by that point as well. We're actually winning games more as well, man. Playing good, better football as well, I'd say.
That was the season they had 50 points by Christmas, if you remember. They had the record points by anybody. I'm not saying that we're going to win the league, but this ain't over. See, big up, boss man. Appreciate that. You don't know much about City's history, then, mate. We only spent 1 season in Division 3.
Yeah,
you only been an Arsenal fan for 5 minutes or something. Manchester City were one of the inaugural teams in the Premier League in 1992. Do your research, mate. Thanks very much. Listen, this is the same Arsenal who cried when they drew at Brentford, cried when they drew at Wolves. Wolves are worse than Forest, and they drew.
Yeah,
Liverpool got beat by Forest, by Forest and Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying don't be upset, but I think some, and it is the small minority, are going over the top. My concern is all these players. We have to make a decision. This belief would just sell Foden, we'll just let Rodri go, just let Bernardo go. And then next season, it's going to have to be, we'll give Anderson a year. Give, for example, Morgan Gibbs-White a year to settle in. Where do we go then? Where was Oil Club in 1991? We finished 5th in the league under Peter Reid, boss man, higher than Arsenal. So kiss me ass, mate. Again, don't test me, mate. I've been a City fan 40-odd years. I know my history.
But also, right, as well, right? People are like, oh, look at Ryan. It's not even a year now. Oh, get rid of him. What? Like, well, like, you remember the old saying that give a player a year under Pep who's new to the club, minimum a year, and then next year we judge him more. Now not anymore. No, he's shit. Get rid of him. What happened to just, I don't know, like giving players a chance? I feel like everyone. I feel like the standards have gone too far. But like, if you draw or lose a game, everyone must go. Like, if football is that intense for you and that emotionally draining for you, then I think you need to get a life. Sorry, it's not.
Yo, Luke.
I'm sorry, but like, bro, I love this club to death, right? But I've got my own stuff going on in my own life, as Martin knows well anyway. About myself anyway, and we all do. For me, a big thing in life to football anyway. It always will be. But it doesn't mean I'm not pissed off. Like yesterday, when we drew yesterday, I was annoyed because I thought, there's a chance to win. We should have won the game. We drawn 2-2. But that's being a football fan. Like, it's frustration. It happens. But if you're that is so intense where like you're literally planning out squads, that kind of stuff in your spare time, I think you need to really get a life. Because I'm sorry, like it's never that deep. You support a football club. You want a football player. You support a team. Freaking fin every year. Like it is the year we don't win anything. All right, well, it's another year. It's frustrating, but I mean, the last few years have been unbelievable, haven't they? Like, it doesn't mean that we'll win anything ever again. I'm sure we will with many more trophies, but it just feels like we're just like it's like what like I said, Martin, it's A to Z. People just can't have a chat about things with a nice conversation. Like the thing is, if in person or on here, right? I like to have a debate and a chat. I always agree with people what they might think, but it doesn't mean I don't respect people for having an opinion. That's how it should be. I'm not always agreeing with everything, but that's fine.
It's like, I don't get it. We talk like we're in crisis, Stephen, spot on. Yeah, we're second in the Premier League. We're in a cup final, and we're in all the other competitions.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we're talking like we're in some form of crisis.
We're Spurs right now. We're Spurs.
This is my point. I think it's going too far.
Because what do you guys want exactly? What, you want to be top of the league, like 18?
You want to win the league by 10, 15 points. That's what this is what this small minority want. They want to win the league. They want to win the league by 10 or 15 points. And they're scared of not winning anything. Because I keep saying this, Luke, some people are not used to not winning stuff. And that's fine. I understand people are not used to winning things. But it'll make when we do start winning things again all that sweeter.
Well, mine, I've seen most of my life. I've seen City win stuff. I'm not gonna lie and say I haven't. I have. That it's just factual information. Even if I was born in 2000. It was late 2000s. Obviously, I got into football more and more. I've seen City win a lot of stuff. Obviously, you've seen over the years where City haven't won stuff, so you have more experience than I do in that regard. But also seen seasons where I haven't won stuff, and it is what it is. Like last year, do you know what it is, right? When you win so much, right?
Arteta's better than Pep. Look at this troll.
Look, all I'm gonna say is, guys, if we do win this league, if Arsenal bottle this league, right? I'm sorry, you say you won't. If Arsenal bottle this league somehow, or win this league, I mean, honestly, you better bloody run, honestly, because all this constant talking right after like certain points drop by different teams, like it's crazy, emotional. Yeah, 1
point we're 4.8 points behind United when we won the league after 42 years. It's not exactly you're spot on, mate.
Game in hand, 4 points. Game in hand 4 points if we win a game in hand. If we beat Arsenal, it's 1 point. How is that?
Yeah, no, listen, I hear that, City Slacker, but that shouldn't change the way you support. That's where I'm probably different here. And I'm only speaking from my viewpoint. I'm never going to change the way I support this football club. If people don't like it, that's up to them. I'm not going to change the way I support. I'm not going to start being a hyperbole, chucking my toys out the pram because we don't win a league. My minimum for this season was to challenge. I did say I think we'd win the league, and I still think we can win the league. Arsenal are the favourites. Arsenal are a fantastic team. The fan base are a little bit less to be desired about because I think they're one of the most arrogant fan bases going alongside United fans. I can see why they had a rivalry now.
I will say that there are a few good Arsenal fans, by the way, that I've actually been on shows with that are good guys and girls out there. So I will big up them ones.
No, I have. I don't know he's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think Lee Gunner's quite a sensible Arsenal fan.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. No, a girl called Gunner Gossip TV. She's really good. I've been on her channel a couple of times about City and Arsenal. She's very good. There's a few good ones out there. There are. Every fan base has good ones out there. It's just that some are hard to find because of how the fan base is.
For me, I was just brought up on Manchester City till we die, win, lose, or draw. If you're not, fine. That was the way I was brought up. You back your team through good and bad. It's like a marriage. In sickness and in health.
And draws apparently sickness now, apparently, aren't they?
You know, when you love something like we all love Manchester City, you don't turn on it.
It's like that picture of the old man with the umbrella, isn't it?
Yeah. You wouldn't divorce your wife at the first couple of arguments.
Well, that's it. See you later.
You know what I mean? Jesus. It's crazy. It's like we spent $500 million and people think the answer is to spend another $500 million.
Yeah.
City can't keep doing that. We haven't got an unlimited pot of money. I know that's what the belief is. We can't. Our answer cannot be at the bottom of the bank every single time. We can't keep going to market.
It's not crib, is it? It's not crib. Oh, yeah, it'll be nice. Christ.
At the end of the day, it's like I was told off a couple of people, and I also read of Simon Majowski, Foden's contract was done.
Yeah.
Now, I've found out since that was verbally.
Verbally, right.
So, nothing's signed. So, yeah, verbal means they've just had a conversation, so things can change. I've always said that. Bernardo's been offered a contract. He hasn't accepted it up to now.
Which what it is, right?
So Bernardo could go. They've offered him the contract. That's all I ever said. They've offered him the contract.
You know, when you said about how the players have reacted to how fans have been in the season, right? I wish that we as fans who backed them, we can have a chat with them and say, look, like what you're seeing on socials is not reflective of what we actually do think. Because I'll tell you, right, it'd be nice to actually, because some of those players, right, I wish, I'm sure, look, I'm sure someone do watch these shows, I'm sure, without us realising, probably see what we think. And look, if any players watching this, trust us, we're all behind you. Yeah, people think, oh, he's watching this at 11:21 at night, right? But some players will probably do that, see what fans think on social media. And if any players are watching this, then just let you know that we are behind you. Ignore how people are in the chat and sort of being negative and toxic and that kind of stuff and really personal. Like, yeah, it's an annoying result yesterday, but it doesn't mean that the season's over. It's not. Until it's in May, Martin, or June, if in Budapest, let's say, ain't done season. So,
I mean, by the way, it's not. Yeah, I totally agree. Any transfer news? Not really.
Okay, Brian. Let's. I know Luke just said that, but we're about to play I'm about to give you the list of names. I knew Luke just said that.
Go on, man.
No, I mean, I'll say this first. Whatever player stays or goes, while they have the shirt on, you need to back them, especially with the run we're about to go through. And I know we talk about the summer and everything else, but the most important thing right now is the next game. That's all we can focus. That's all the players can focus on. That's all the coaching staff can focus on right now is the next game. And that is this weekend against Newcastle in the FA Cup, which I feel like we will see a lot of new faces, which should give them a chance to show the fans and show the manager, I want to get in that 11. All right, so let me pull up this list right now.
Can I just do these super chats just while we're getting that list, mate? Sarah, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. We really, really do appreciate that, as does this.
I'm emotional. I mean, this is a dream come true. All these guys deserve. All these guys around here.
And Ethan, thank you so much for another super chat. You've been on fire at the moment. I know you've left already, but thank you. Take care of yourself, Martin. Go and get yourself a brew. I'm off now. Take care, Blues. Thank you so much, Ethan. I appreciate that, mate. I really, really do. Your kind generosity. And everyone who's in the chat. Your mate, Graham Bailey, said Anderson is basically done. I think Anderson will sign, yeah?
Yeah, I think he will.
Listen, it's like the Rodri stuff. I'm desperate for Rodri to re-sign.
Yeah.
Do I think he will? I'm right now. I would say no. Do I hope it changes? 1,000%. But I do think people are going to leave.
Yeah, it's going to happen. And this is the thing, right? Like how we're feeling now. If we beat Newcastle or Real Madrid, then what happens? The mood changes, isn't it? The mood changes again, doesn't it? Because that's how people are. Like, I said before, it's just a draw is, it's also not a loss, but we got to just realise that there are many more games to come. Champions League, Carabao Cup final, FA Cup. There's many more games to go, and that's why we've got to keep going. We have to. We can't give up now.
No.
Yeah, we can't.
And I won't give up till it's mathematically done. I ain't giving up.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I'm wrong, listen, I will congratulate Arsenal. I won't congratulate the fans. I'll congratulate a small minority of the fans.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of the fans, they can go and whatever they want because I get it. Some of them have never seen a league title.
Yeah,
I understand that. They've never seen it and they'll enjoy it. But City have to do their job. And I always see, I'm a believer in football of, I worry about it when you're not creating chances.
Yeah.
When you're not creating the chances, then I worry. Because people can have a go at Foden all they want. Foden could have had a couple of assists yesterday.
Yep, definitely.
Now it's like this Foden deep roll. People misunderstand when you say a deep roll. I'm not saying he's a 6. Look where he's picking the ball up now.
From the keeper, innit?
At parts of the game yesterday, Rodri and Bernardo were further up the field than Phil Foden was.
Yeah.
That, for me, is a mistake. I think Phil Foden should be, because at the start of the season, we had Cherky on the right, Foden is the 10. What's happened is, though, we can't play that system anymore because the tactics have changed to a 4-2-2-2. So now we're kind of playing a false 2 up top.
It doesn't really.
Semenyo's just kind of behind Haaland, slightly to his left. And we've got the so-called 2 10s. And I know people say, well, Foden was one of the 10, but he wasn't actually the 10-10. Because he was, at one point, he comes back to collect the ball off Donnarumma.
Yeah, Phil Foden.
I didn't see Cherky coming collecting the ball off Donnarumma.
Phil Foden's a guy that's meant to be scoring goals and getting the assists in there. He's not meant to be doing that. That's not his job.
And listen, I'm not saying Phil Foden's been his best at all. He's been far from his best.
Definitely not. Yeah.
But this thing of bench him for the rest of the season, sell him at the end, don't give him a new contract.
He's a whole squad.
He's already on 230 grand a week. What do you do? You can't take wages off people.
Again, people don't understand football, man. They just react. And I say, standards.
These are the same people where Foden will go to another club, ball out something, and they'll go, we shouldn't have sold him like we did Cole Palmer.
If Foden's at Barcelona right now, with Pedri in that, and Yamal, As long as, I mean,
by the way, these are the people who by the way, for the people who love a foot mob and all them. Foden got a 7.6 in his rating just today?
Yep, he did.
That's not telling me he played shit. So he's foot mod wrong.
Let's not get started.
No, but my point, no, Ed, that's not my point. My point is the people who are calling him shit are the people who follow foot mod.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
So are they ignoring foot mod now?
See, for me, right, just the thing is, right, people are always going to see things different to everyone else. But at the end of the day, right, I think
I never. When did I say Player FC? What did I say there? That was Player FC.
Nothing.
Sorry, just double check. Did I say Foden's not been playing well? I just said that, didn't I? Just to want to double check. I did say Foden's not been in form. Right.
Just my own opinion. Mate, I do have my own opinion. I do. But if I agree with people, that's fine. What we're meant to do, just disagree with everyone says.
Yo, Spicy Potato, keep it respectful in the chat. Man.
Yeah, if you don't want to be respectful, Spicy Potato, please leave. Simple as. Be respectful or just leave.
Personally,
don't come in here trying to be the big guy. We're not that channel. If you don't like it, just unsubscribe and go. It's easy. You don't have to stay. If you don't enjoy the content and you don't agree with us, move on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get the come on to insult people. Spicy Potato, we could say a lot to you, but out of respect, we're not going to do. So come on, be respectful. Isn't foot mod the same thing where players can out and then score and get? No, but that's what people go off, Kobe. People watch football on foot mod. They tell me it's not Player FC, but drop Diaz for cushion off because of pace. That's what's that got to do with anything? Look, Diaz has had a brilliant season. Kushnoff is going to be a brilliant player in time.
Yeah, in time.
For me personally, right, I've always said, like, I feel like for me, it's not an individual player issue, it's a system issue. I said before, like, how we play away from home, Conservative actually agree with it. I think it's good because we're actually being quite robust and getting over the line. When we're at home, I don't know why we go Conservative after we score a goal, because I actually feel like we should be taking initiative and going for it and going for the throat and getting the job done. I know I'm not saying Forest are easy to beat, by the way. I'm just saying that, like against Fulham, have that kind of mentality of saying, right, we've got the first goal, let's go again and get the other one. I think that's for me kind of where I'm at right now. I feel like we've got two different styles, one conservative control, one going out attacking and going for it, and we're not finding that balance right yet. I think that's what's letting us down right now for me. And big up Potato, by the way, it's all good. I know I'm being, is what it is,
Well, I don't know, because he's kind of spelled it at the end by saying a bit like all you guys. So now it's turned into a go at me in the channel now.
Oh, right. Okay, right. Well.
So he's kind of done it. Difference is, and I will say this, we're just patient. We're a more patient group. I keep saying this, we're not your type of thing. We just back all the players. All right. And when we talk, we want to do analytical, not emotional. The thing is, people don't realize people are not enjoying the emotional stuff right now. I don't know if you noticed this. There's a lot of comments of, I'm bored of YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, big up Brixie in the chat, obviously. Big up Brixie always, and I get where he's coming from. He's frustrated of it all because of how it's going, and I know it's not against certain channels and that. I just get it's just comment sections now. It's just full of the same comments. Like even in my time, obviously mine's obviously mostly a little bit LB, a little bit of yours, and other people coming in from other channels that I do shows with, and it usually is all right. But now and again, I get it at my channel and it happens on my comments. Like it's just one of those things where, whenever we don't win a game, for some reason, it's like people just want to go a bit too far when, like, if you can say, right, a certain player wasn't good, that's fine. Like, that's your opinion, and that's a debate we can have. But when you start saying player has to go because of one bad bloody thing, and it's what I mean. Like, it's got to be a debate something that we can have rather than like just saying a player's shit. That's where I agree.
This is the other point Luke can add. Katie's spot on here. The same people who say drop Diaz are the same people who gave him man of the match at Leeds.
Yeah, exactly.
But Diaz, if we're going to be honest, Diaz had a better game than Gay.
Yeah, he did.
Gay was actually poor yesterday.
He was.
That doesn't mean we're saying Gay is shit. Because we said he had a poor game does not mean we're saying Gay is shit.
He's been great, by the way, so far, Gay. He's been great. Look, one bad game, it happens to the best of players. But again, against Newcastle, we played against Newcastle, Madrid. He'll be there, and we'll back him. I'm sure he'll do really well. Then
I've seen Messi come to the Etihad and drop a stinker. I think, you know what? He was crap.
And then again, when he scored. Well,
yeah, come on. We just got to just chill. No offense, but I think all your guys sing the same. But no, it isn't. I just said we don't do the emotional stuff, mate.
I personally can't be asked to go over the top. Like, I will get pissed off and angry when we don't play well because when I know we're better than that, that's when I get really pissed off with the team. But I'll be honest, Martin. If you had met me was like 4 or 5 years ago, I was a lot more emotional, a lot more angry. But I've just got more chilled as I've got on now because I realize there's more important things to worry about. That's just me. Doesn't mean I don't get angry or pissed off or emotional. We all bloody do.
Nunes was poor yesterday. Doesn't mean Nunes is suddenly shit.
Yeah, Nori was bad at the back, but great going forward. You know what I mean? It doesn't. Context is key.
Some players are going to have good days, are going to have bad days.
Haaland especially.
I keep saying, I get people are angry. The same people who are saying, well, Nico Reinders should come on. Well, the same people saying Reinders was shit 4 weeks ago and a waste of money. The same people saying bring Marmouche on. And then the same people 2 games ago, what does he bring?
Savinho. But then
we can't flip. What we're doing is we're looking at games and periods and isolation, and we're going, you know what? Maybe that was just a fantastic finish from Morgan Gibbs-White.
It's a great goal. Anderson as well, good goal as well.
Anderson was a great finish. It's like for me, Foden was at fault for the second goal.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It wasn't at fault for the first goal. You know why? Because anyone can lose the ball in your own box. But what happens is, in the opposition box, but it's not like there was about 20 plays in between that he had to get through.
Yeah.
There was a long period of play and a lot of grass to go into. There was a run down the right. There was a pass out, a run down the right, a crossing, a header, a finish. How's that all Foden's fault? What about the midfield? What about the defenders? You can't just all place the blame on one person. And that's what we're doing is we're going off. This is where the agendas are coming in.
I'll stretch it. What's your fault?
What happened to the fullback not closing it down? The defenders not clearing the ball away? And none of them part of it? They're blaming Foden because Foden's become the target. Like Akanji and Edison were the targets last season. In the same way Diaz, Foden, and Haaland have been targets this season. I don't get this targeting players bit. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't get this targeting players. Football's a team game. Yeah. That was his man. What man? No, it wasn't his man. The second goal, Mario, but not the first one. Come on. I'm sorry. This is going to sound a bit rude. You've never coached or played football if you're just blaming that on Foden. It's crazy. Right, and LG, I agree. But below his standards, and he's got more goals and assists than a lot of other players this season. That's below form.
Yeah.
Don't know what the Donnarumma hates about.
I don't know. At this point, it's just, yeah, whatever. But
yeah,
like I said, right, a draw does not.
Be careful, Luke. You don't want to agree with me too much.
Yeah.
Just remember the script, Luke. Remember the script. And Ed,
yeah.
you've got the script, haven't you? I'll send that over.
Yeah, let me tell you right now, Martin. I'm about to tell you, I'm about to hop off, mate. Gotta.
Yeah. We'll end
Stones goes. Bernardo goes. Rodri stays. Foden stays. Ake gone. Kovacic gone. Rico gone. Trafford gone. And then Nico G 50-50 Marmoush gone.
Rodri extends them.
I think he extends personally. I think he will.
Right. Do you two think Foden and Rodri extend?
Yep.
Yep.
I do. Yep. I'm confident they will.
I think only one of them will. That's just my opinion now. That's my opinion.
Obviously,
I've not heard anything. My opinion.
If both
I got drop off, mate.
Yeah.
Drop off. By the chat, big of the panel. Thanks for dropping.
Yeah, we're going to end in a minute anyway. Listen, I think Foden will stay. I don't think Foden will go anywhere. Rodri, I worry about him.
Do you know what it is, right? If we can win that Carabao Cup final, right, and get a bit of a feel good factor in the squad, that'll give us a massive boost. Do you know what's a shame, right? It's a shame that Carabao Cup final was at the end of March. It was end of February like it usually is. That gives us a massive boost going into March. You remember when we won the Carabao Cup final? Was it years ago? Obviously, it's a Turin year and that. I bet that boost it gave us to go on to win it. I think because it's end of March, it's like right in the middle of the race. I wish it was a bit earlier so we could get that final one and win it and say, right, we've won it. Then I could have seen us beating Leeds and Forest a lot more convincingly. Well, more convincingly because we've been in the mood for it. I think it's just how it is for the season, the way it's gone. I think it's just one of those things, sadly.
Yeah. And listen, if we don't win the league, we don't win it. I know that will hurt many. But listen, Manchester City are not going to give up. They will continue winning. And listen, for me, it's not a Diaz or it's not a Diaz or this guy or Kushinov. It's not a Foden or a Cherky. It's not a Donnarumma or a Trafford. It's Manchester City players that I back.
Yeah.
Call it happy clappy, call it whatever you want. Yeah. But did we play bad yesterday? I don't think so. No. Did we finish crap? Yeah. The finishing was shag.
Not good enough going forward, definitely for sure.
Not good enough. Spot on. Not good enough. The 2 goals by Forest were actually really good goals. Sometimes you hold your hand up.
Well, screamers against the best keeper in the world. They have to do that because how good Donnarumma is. You have to hit.
That's me, Mad Hatter. I think Foden extends. Rodri worries me. I hope to God they both stay, but
yeah.
I
think he will personally, but that's just me.
Is Nemecha link true? There is interest.
I doubt it's going to happen.
For a squad. It's not first team, it'll be squad players.
Yeah, I like him, but
that will depend on who leaves, Cade. That's going to depend on who leaves. So, for example, if we do lose Rodri, Nico G, and Bernardo, and Kovacic, you're going to need to bring 2 or 3 midfielders in. So, Anderson, they're looking at. Gibbs White, they're looking at. Tonali, they're looking at. And then they'll see where they can get. Livramento, that's come from the Newcastle end again. That's come from Craig Hope. Nobody at the City end. That's come from Craig Hope up at Newcastle about Livramento. If Livramento, again, I will just give my opinion on it. Nothing ITK. My opinion. I think City would have to probably include James Trafford somewhere to get that deal done.
Yeah.
I don't think City will pay 75 million
for an injury
in 1 month.
For a player who's got injuries as well. Yeah.
And I worry about his injury record.
Yeah.
Like I said, my only thing is, and by the way, next Thursday, I promise you, we are going to do that show. City hate is an illness. I want to do it.
Yeah, bro. Because
I want to get that done.
Funny how Sam goes full on cooking everyone as soon as we lose a game or draw a game, and it's funny that like, oh, but no one cares about City yet does stuff like that. It's like, come on, guys, you can't say one thing and then mean the other. It's just the irony, of saying that. Honestly, we're in your head rent free all the time.
Yeah, of course, it's a little bit mad. It's a little bit mad. By the way, let us know what you think of the thumbnail at the minute, the new one for Thursday. Whether you're enjoying it, guys. The likes are a bit naff, 82. We'd like if you can smash those likes before we end in a minute, that'd be brilliant. We normally at 100. I know everyone's a bit down. That's why I said many have walked away from YouTube at the minute. They're having a break. I think it's just getting to everyone. I think it's getting to everyone right now. Wasn't me. It was Ozzy who did the thumbnail. Remember, who goes by a winger. I don't think you need one, Mario. You've got Semenyo.
Yeah.
What I'd do is use Semenyo as the winger and bring Mikasa back. Martin, did you hear what Fab said? Yes. Yep. That's why I know LG. That was exactly what the wording was to me. It wasn't about money. It was about personal reasons and family. Which
is fair enough. That you can't argue with, really.
See, do you know what? At least one person actually listens to what I say.
For once.
Thank you, LG. That's very nice of you.
Once out of 100, Martin, but it's better than nothing, I suppose.
People say I talk bullshit, you know what I mean? The thing is, do I get everything right? No, I don't. Do I always say things can change? 1000%.
Yeah.
They can. You know, I don't work for City. I wish I did. Well, if I worked for City, guys, you know.
To be fair, probably not, because obviously I want to be able to sort of say how I feel. That's just me personally. I love the club, but I want to be able to have my own voice.
Yeah, Kush Camp. I've told you we'll get that on next Thursday, mate. You're more than welcome. We'll be back now on Sunday. I wasn't even meant to be on tonight. I came on because we were lacking in numbers with Rich and Pat being away, and well, Pat's working. So no one's left. I just need to say that Elliot was a guest on the now and again, and Alan left the channel to go help on South Stand and do his work because the times weren't helping him. Everything's fine. There's no falling out. Everything's hunky-dory. Yeah. Everyone else is fine, and the channel is fine. It's doing great guns, the channel at the minute. I think we've got to be a little bit, I get it hurts. Just remember what you're saying, because they're human beings in these channels and on the panels. You don't have to agree. Your opinion is, all opinions matter. Me especially, can disagree with you as well. Doesn't mean I don't like you. Doesn't mean I think you're a anchor. Just means I disagree with you on that. Everyone knows I'm a Foden fan, so I'm not going to sell him, am I? Like people are Cherky fans. I like Cherky. But Foden's just given me a lot more pleasure than Cherky.
I mean, Cherky said about getting off pleasure. I mean, we've seen a little bit of it this year.
When Cherky's done 8-9 years, then he might be, giving me the pleasure.
That's
the thing, my dad. I'd say now that's a fan thing. Rodri doesn't give a damn about Real Madrid did.
No.
That's a fan thing, that.
Yeah.
And if any of you guys want to give me any pleasure, smash that like button. There's the pleasure you can give us. And if you're new, please subscribe. I'm going to literally disappear now for a weekend of rest and everything else. We're still 12 likes away from 100. We should be hitting 100. Come on. I know it's bad at the minute, but these are some of the lowest numbers we've done in a while, likes-wise. Come on. Views-wise, fine, but we should be getting higher likes than that, guys. It does help your channel, because what you don't realize is the more likes you get, the more views it pushes it out across YouTube. It tells YouTube, oh, these have got a lot of interaction. Get over there and get in there. So, yeah. Please share this out. We'll be back on Sunday with there'll be no Oil Brothers because I need a break. My meds are wearing off at the moment. I need to go and rest. Big up to Luke, Night of My Lifetime. Anything on this week, mate? Weekend?
Sunday. Well, tonight we meant to do. Bevo went to come back tonight, but because obviously it's quite a mad one, and also it's a bit busy evening. He's back Sunday. So Sunday evening before your show anyway. He'll be on with me, and we'll for the first time in a couple of months. So yeah, I'll be good. So Sunday evening, back, which is good.
When's that?
So it'll be Sunday just before you go on. So just for you.
Awesome. Mr. Perfecto, my apologies. I didn't even see this. My bad. With the 5 Australia, thank you. Elliot Anderson is class. He is a very good player. Holt Rodri stays. Replacing him seems impossible. Totally agree. Like KDB, maybe Wharton. I don't think they'll go for Wharton anymore, mate. But we will be in another transition again. Yeah, that's the problem. I don't want so many out, so many in, and we're just right back in transition again.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Heal up, we will. Yeah, I will be back Sunday. Go and give what time are you on Sunday, Luke? With Tone?
Not sure yet. I will. I'll let you know anyway. I'll let you know on Saturday or Sunday what time it is.
He was meant to be asking me and Tone, but he's dumped me for Tone now. So, you know.
No. Sunday, I'm doing it with Bevo. I'm still doing the show with you two, but I've got to work out, obviously. Well, when you're feeling much better.
Ditch me, a little son. I'm joking. Don't make me laugh. You'll make me head go. I'm joking. Yeah, I will. Hey, look, mate. I'm trying to be less in front of this at the minute. It's not good for me, Ed. Take care, mate, and Luke, lads. Thanks. Ozzy did fantastic, and Rich and Ed. We'll be back. I promise you, in the next few weeks, we'll get everyone back. I promise you. It's just juggling. Rich is hard in March, April, because it's tax season.
Yeah.
And the job Rich does is quite taxing. I don't mean that with any kind of innuendo either. It's really taxing what he does. Yeah. Pat's just round his shifts. And then obviously next week, the Oil Brothers will be back, stateside, Blues Down Under, Real Madrid reaction, the lot.
Brilliant.
So we're back. So yeah, go and give Not My Lifetime a lot of love. Smash those likes on the way out. Please keep the faith. Keep the faith, Blues. Steady till we die. As always, up the Blues. And thank you for all the lovely messages. It means so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.